Chapter 24. Xiao Fei walked over and patted Yang Tian's shoulder. Yang Tian, I didn't expect you to be even stronger than before you were injured. If you had your current strength, you wouldn't have been injured. Yang Tian took a few deep breaths to calm his breathing from the endurance test and asked with a smile, Brother Xiao, I'm very curious. What level are you? Xiao Fei smiled. I just became a level 4 martial artist. But when I was your age, I was still a level 1 martial artist. Your potential is greater than mine. Level 4 martial artist. Yang Tian didn't expect Xiao Fei to be a level higher than he thought. He originally thought that Xiao Fei was a level 3 martial artist. What about Zhou Dedeo from that day? Yang Tian asked curiously. Yang Tian still remembered clearly the day when Zhou Dedeo walked towards him with his saber outside the city. Xiao Fei smiled. The peak of level 3 martial artist. This is a ruthless person. Within a year, he will definitely break through his current realm and become a level 4 martial artist. After Xiao Fei finished speaking, he put his arm around Yang Tian's shoulder and said loudly to the surrounding people, in order to welcome Yang Tian to our Tianwei dojo and pass the level 2 martial artist exam, I will treat everyone to a meal at Heaven on Earth tonight. Everyone can enjoy to your heart's content. Woo! As soon as Xiao Fei finished speaking, the surrounding martial artists all howled in joy. Heaven on Earth was a high-end entertainment place. Yang Tian had long heard that it was a man's paradise. When he was studying in school, some rich male students would often boast that they had been there. Yang Tian actually didn't want to go to this kind of place. But if he didn't go, it would definitely spoil Xiao Fei's mood. So he didn't refuse. At most, he wouldn't touch women. With such a beautiful girlfriend like Qin Fei, Yang Tian wasn't interested in other women, let alone going to an entertainment place to look for women. After Xiao Fei left and the surrounding crowd dispersed, Yang Tian said apologetically to Zhao Wu, Brother Zhao, I can only treat you to a meal next time. Zhao Wu smiled and said, It's nothing, but you have to remember that you owe me a meal. Yang Tian nodded. There was still a long time before nightfall. Yang Tian still had a lot of things to take care of. For example, he would leave 2 grade 1 beast cores for his parents to strengthen their bodies and sell the rest for martial coins. Being a martial artist was a money-burning profession. Without money, there was no way to survive. After taking a taxi home, Yang Tian took out his keys and opened the door. Since his parents weren't around, Yang Tian sat on the sofa and opened his backpack. The little blue dragon jumped out. Creak, creak. The little blue dragon jumped onto the coffee table and shouted at Yang Tian. Strangely enough, Yang Tian could actually understand the little blue dragon squeaking, which was the little blue dragon's language. The little blue dragon said to Yang Tian, You can finally come out. It's so stuffy inside. When Yang Tian heard the little blue dragon call him master, he was stunned. It took him a long time to react. He nodded and said, I don't have time now. I'll cook for you when I come back tonight. By the way, why do you call me master? Yang Tian never regarded the little blue dragon as his pet beast, but as a brother. The little blue dragon jumped onto Yang Tian's shoulder and squeaked. It said to Yang Tian, Did you forget that I established a blood contract with you? From now on, you are my master. Your body now has the inheritance of our dragon clan and can understand our dragon clan's language. Dragon clan's inheritance. Yang Tian's eyes widened. He suddenly remembered the long dream he had in the hospital. In the dream, he became a Xiaolong, and then after a long time, he evolved into a giant dragon. The little blue dragon said, Yes, Master, from now on, you are half a dragon clan. I'm so hungry now. I want to eat barbecue. Yang Tian nodded. Okay. Anyway, I have to make lunch. Yang Tian opened the refrigerator. There was a lot of frozen exotic beast meat inside. Most of it was bought by his mother when meat was on sale in the supermarket. After every beast tide, there would be a lot of cheap beast meat for sale in the supermarket. Yang Tian dug out the grill from his room and went downstairs to the shop across the street to buy some charcoal. After more than an hour, the man and the dragon finished all the meat stored in the refrigerator. After lying in bed for 10 days, Yang Tian was very hungry. He only ate 2 cans of 8 treasure porridge in the car after leaving the hospital with Zhao Wu. After packing up, Yang Tian looked at the time. It was only 12:30 in the afternoon. His parents would only get off work at 5 in the afternoon. Yang Tian opened his backpack and prepared to sell some beast cores. There were also shops in the city that bought beast cores. The price was slightly cheaper compared to the cordoned area outside the city. This was because buying and selling things in the city had to pay taxes. Outside the city, however, there was no tax. Yang Tian found that there was only 1 level 3 beast core, 1 level 2 beast core, and 6 level 1 beast cores in his backpack. 1 level 2 beast core was missing. It was obvious that the level 2 beast core was eaten by the little blue dragon. If it was stolen by someone else, it wouldn't just be a level 2 beast core missing. Gigi. At this time, the little blue dragon let out a cry. It told Yang Tian that it had eaten the level 2 beast core to replenish its energy. Yang Tian remembered the drop of golden blood that dripped from the little blue dragon's head when he established a blood contract with it. After leaving the level 3, level 2, and 2 level 1 beast cores behind, Yang Tian took the 4 level 1 beast cores and left the house. As for the little blue dragon, after eating its fill, it ran to Yang Tian's room and hid under the pillow to sleep. Yang Tian took a taxi to a shop that specialized in beast cores. He sold the 4 level 1 beast cores for 3.8 million martial coins. The price of each beast core was 50,000 martial coins lower than outside the city. The 3.8 million martial coins were all transferred to Yang Tian's bank account. At 2:30 in the afternoon, Yang Tian returned to his house. He took out his key and opened the door. As soon as the door opened, Yang Tian saw his parents sitting on the sofa with a frown on their faces. They seemed to have encountered something difficult and were in a daze. Even when Yang Tian returned, they didn't react in time. "Dad, Mom," Yang Tian called out happily. When Yang Lin and Wang Hong heard Yang Tian's voice, they came back to their senses and stood up in surprise. "Little Tian." Yang Lin and Wang Hong were stunned for a moment before Wang Hong called out in surprise. "It's good that you're back. Come and sit." Yang Lin sat down with a smile and patted the sofa beside him. Wang Hong immediately went to pour a glass of water for Yang Tian. "Dad, Mom, what happened? You look so sad." Yang Tian took the glass from his mother and asked. Yang Lin said, "The factory thinks we're too old and fired us." "Then you don't have to work anymore." Yang Tian said with a smile. "I, your son, am now a rich man. You don't have to work anymore. You can live a good life." Yang Tian knew that his parents didn't understand what kind of existence a martial artist was. As long as a martial artist obtained a beast core, it was equivalent to making a small fortune. At the very least, it would allow the family of 3 to live a comfortable life for a few years. Of course, it wasn't easy for a level 1 martial artist to obtain a beast core. They had to put their lives on the line. Take the beast tide, for example. Although many exotic beasts were killed, many martial artists died as well. In the end, the number of martial artists who obtained beast cores was extremely small. If it wasn't for the little blue dragon's help, Yang Tian reckoned that he wouldn't have been able to find a single beast core. At this time, Yang Tian said to Yang Lin, "It's not easy to be a martial artist. You should keep the money for yourself. I know that martial artists like you need a lot of good weapons and equipment. Don't forget to buy some things just to save money. That will only harm you. As long as we have something to do, we can support ourselves. You don't have to worry about us." Yang Tian chuckled and said, "Dad, Mom, I'm really rich now." He had just sold 4 Grade 1 beast cores and earned 3,800,000 martial coins. "I plan to buy a bigger house in the center of the city. The transportation there is convenient and the environment is good." "What? More than 3 million?" Before Yang Tian could finish, Wang Hong's eyes widened in surprise. Yang Tian nodded. "For martial artists, money is actually very profitable." "That's right. I left 2 beast cores for you." After Yang Tian finished speaking, he immediately got up and returned to his house. He took out 2 level 1 beast cores from his backpack. In order to become a martial artist, It was best to strengthen one's body between the ages of 16 to 25. After this age, the body would age. After consuming a level 1 beast core, it would be impossible to train the body to the standard of a level 1 martial artist, no matter how hard one trained. Although he couldn't make his parents become martial artists, Yang Tian could let them consume beast cores to strengthen their bodies so that they could live longer in the future. Chapter 25. Dad, Mom, how do you feel? Yang Tian and Wang Hong both took a level 1 beast core. After a few minutes, Yang Tian estimated that the beast core was starting to take effect and asked. Yang Lin replied, "My body is starting to heat up." Wang Hong also nodded. Yang Tian smiled and said, "Dad, Mom, this is a normal phenomenon after taking beast cores. After your whole body heats up, you will feel a little sleepy. Then close your eyes and sleep. When you wake up, you will have completed the strengthening." Okay, Yang Lin nodded. According to the existing records, even a 60-year-old man would not be in danger after taking a level 1 beast core. Yang Tian was relieved when he thought of this. When his parents closed their eyes and fell asleep, Yang Tian stayed on the side until night fell. Then he returned to the room and woke up the little blue dragon. He said to the little guy, "Xiao Long, I have to go out. Brother Xiao of the Tianwei Martial Arts School is treating. You have to look after my parents at home, okay?" Squeak, squeak, squeak. The little blue dragon let out a series of squeaks, telling Yang Tian that there was no problem. Yang Tian was relieved. He took a shower, changed into clean clothes, opened the door, and walked out. When he went downstairs, Yang Tian called a car and told the driver to go to Heaven on Earth. The driver looked at Yang Tian with some surprise and started the car. After more than 20 minutes, the car finally arrived at the entrance of Heaven on Earth. Yang Tian paid the driver and got out of the car. Heaven on Earth was not conspicuous from the outside. It was an ordinary 18-story building. However, when he entered the elevator and went down to the second basement floor, he found that the interior was extremely luxurious. After Yang Tian got out of the elevator, he walked in the corridor and walked in the direction of the explosive music. From time to time, young women in hot clothes passed by Yang Tian. When they saw Yang Tian, they winked at Yang Tian. Yang Tian ignored these women and walked straight into the number 5 singing and dancing hall. When Yang Tian left, Xiao Fei had already called Heaven on Earth and booked the entire number 5 dance hall for the entertainment of the members of Tianwei Dojo. Yang Tian didn't feel it when he was in the corridor, but as soon as he pushed open the door of the number 5 singing and dancing hall, the loud music suddenly became louder and louder, causing his ears to buzz. Seeing Yang Tian coming, Zhao Wu, who had been looking at the door for a long time, stood up and waved at Yang Tian. Yang Tian glanced around the dimly lit hall. When he saw Zhao Wu, he walked over. At this time, there were at least 100 people in the hall. A small portion of them were members of the Heaven's Might Martial Arts School, while the rest were hot women. These women were all here to accompany the guests. At this time, some members of the martial arts school were dancing on the dance floor, while others were sitting around the booze and drinking quietly. Almost no one was talking because it was too noisy. Yang Tian walked toward Zhao Wu. Xiao Fei, who was sitting next to Zhao Wu, gestured to Yang Tian and had Yang Tian sit next to him. After Yang Tian sat down, Xiao Fei waved at a group of women who didn't accompany the guests. 2 young women walked over and sat next to Yang Tian. The 2 women were very close to Yang Tian. Yang Tian felt very uncomfortable. Next, Xiao Fei gestured for everyone to raise their cups and drink a large cup of beer. Yang Tian's booth had a total of 5 martial artists. Including Yang Tian, there were 6 people. Aside from Xiao Fei and Yang Tian, the rest of them only had 1 woman sitting next to them. Yang Tian felt that he was being specially taken care of because Xiao Fei had prepared 2 women for him. Moreover, they were women with excellent figures and faces. After finishing a glass of wine, Xiao Fei snapped his fingers and a waiter came forward. Xiao Fei whispered a few words into the waiter's ear, and not long after, the loud music became much quieter. At the very least, the conversation at Yang Tian's table could now be heard clearly. "These guys, the music is too loud. I wonder how much energy they have stored in their bodies. After the music quieted down, Zhao Wu laughed. Yang Tian, why are you only here now? Xiao Fei asked Yang Tian. Something happened at home, so I was delayed for a while. Yang Tian scratched his head and said, Then you should drink a cup of beer as punishment. Xiao Fei laughed mischievously. He winked at the two women beside Yang Tian. The two women leaned closer to each other and poured beer for Yang Tian. One of them picked up a large cup of beer. I'll do it myself, thank you. Yang Tian twisted his body in discomfort. All the muscles in his body shook rhythmically, pushing the two women further away. Yang Tian's alcohol tolerance wasn't very good. After drinking another large cup of beer, he felt a little dizzy. Brother Xiao, is there something added to this beer? Yang Tian asked while holding his forehead. Zhao Wu laughed and said, Us martial artists drink beer like water. If there isn't some alcohol, how can we feel anything? Next, Xiao Fei introduced Yang Tian to the other three martial artists that Yang Tian didn't know. He said to Yang Tian, This short-haired big guy is called Wang Guang, a rank 2 martial artist. This is Lu Jian, a rank 1 martial artist. He's about to break through and become a rank 2 martial artist. This is Li Xian, a rank 2 martial artist. Yang Tian stood up and shook hands with Wang Guang, Lu Jian, and Li Xian. They got to know each other. At this time, Xiao Fei said, Originally, there were 2 other women that I wanted to introduce to you, but they had something to do and couldn't come. I guess they don't like this kind of place. They are Lu Xiao and Zhou Feng. Usually, when we go out, we form a team of 7 and I'm the leader. Yang Tian, are you willing to join our team and develop together? In the dojo, there are many teams like this. Everyone helps each other and gains are equally divided. Yang Tian didn't hesitate and immediately nodded. In this era, it was very difficult to find trustworthy teammates. Only in a dojo would there be teams that specialized in hunting exotic beasts. The members of the team could also trust each other completely. Good. To celebrate Yang Tian joining our team, everyone cheers. Xiao Fei raised his cup and said with a smile. Everyone raised their cups and downed another large cup of beer. After drinking a few cups in a row, they were a little tipsy and let go. Xiao Fei and the others hugged the women beside them and pinched them from time to time, causing the women accompanying them to grumble from time to time. Only Yang Tian sat there obediently, appearing very reserved. Yang Tian, what's wrong? Not used to this? Don't tell me you're still a virgin? The big guy Wang Guang saw Yang Tian's unnatural appearance and laughed mischievously. Yang Tian didn't know how to answer. At this moment, Lu Jian smiled at Yang Tian and said, Men always need women in this world, especially us cultivators. Most of our time is spent fighting exotic beasts outside. We don't know when we'll lose our lives. It's better to enjoy ourselves while we can. Yang Tian, these 2 girls are from heaven on earth. Bring them to the room later and have some fun. Brother Xiao specially prepared them for you. Yang Tian scratched his head embarrassedly and said, I already have a girlfriend. The seemingly refined Li Xian laughed heartily and said, Yang Tian, as long as you don't say it, how will your girlfriend know? It's a waste of youth if you're not a romantic. Yang Tian only smiled and nodded, not saying anything else. He felt that it wasn't good to argue with his new teammates at this time. It was fine as long as he stayed true to his heart. Seeing Yang Tian twisting his body unnaturally, Xiao Fei nodded slightly and changed the topic, saying, Everyone, tell us what you gained from this beast tide. Don't hide anything. Brother Xiao, you gained the most, right? You seem to have obtained a rank 2 beast core. That should be worth at least 5 million martial coins. No wonder you were so generous this time and booked the entire singing and dancing hall. Li Xian said with a smile after Xiao Fei finished speaking. Xiao Fei nodded. Everyone talked about their gains. When it was Yang Tian's turn, Yang Tian only said that he found a rank 1 beast core. Even though it was a rank 1 beast core, Lu Jian and the others said that he was lucky. This was because other than Xiao Fei, Wang Guang, and Zhou Feng, whom Yang Tian had never seen before, the rest of them didn't gain anything. After drinking a lot of beer, Yang Tian wanted to go to the washroom. He stood up and excused himself before leaving the singing and dancing hall and walking along the corridor. Chapter 26. There were many singing and dancing halls and KTV rooms on the second floor of Heaven on Earth. Yang Tian was not familiar with this place. He walked along the corridor and came to the private room area unknowingly. When he passed by the door of a private room, the door was suddenly opened. A young woman in revealing clothes ran out. There was a red palm print on her face. A young man behind her caught up and pulled the young woman. He shouted, "Bitch, if you don't take off your clothes today, I will let you crawl out." "No, I only drank with you. I didn't promise you to do that kind of thing." The young woman struggled and cried loudly. Yang Tian had already walked a distance. He didn't want to care about such things. But when he heard the woman's voice, he felt that it was so familiar. "Li Yan, isn't this the voice of Zhou Hao's girlfriend, Li Yan?" Yang Tian turned around abruptly, only to see a woman in a black skirt being dragged into the private room. The door was slammed shut. Yang Tian walked quickly to the door of the private room. He heard the laughter of many men and the screams of women. He lifted his foot and kicked the iron door of the private room open, making a deafening sound. What appeared in Yang Tian's eyes was an unbearable scene. There were more than 10 men and women in the room who had taken off their clothes. Several men were lying on the women's bodies. Yang Tian glanced and saw Li Yan huddled in the corner. She was hugging her body, and a shirtless man was standing next to her. The door was kicked open, and the people in the room were shocked. They stopped what they were doing and looked at Yang Tian in surprise. "Li Yan." Yang Tian frowned and said faintly, "Yang Tian." Li Yan recognized that the person was Yang Tian. She shouted in surprise. She stood up and ran to Yang Tian's side and hid behind Yang Tian. "What's the matter? Why are you here?" Yang Tian turned his head and asked Li Yan, who was wearing heavy makeup. I. Li Yan was speechless for a while. Seeing the fingerprints on Li Yan's cheeks and her slightly swollen face, Yang Tian did not say anything and said indifferently, "Let's go. We'll talk when we get back." After Yang Tian finished speaking, he pulled Li Yan and turned to leave. "Stop!" At this moment, the bare-chested man shouted loudly. Yang Tian turned around and looked at this person coldly. He said indifferently, "What do you want? Do you want to fight?" The shirtless man laughed and said, "This woman owes us a lot of money. If she doesn't pay us back, she can't leave here." Yang Tian didn't ask Li Yan, but asked faintly, "How much do we owe you?" 50,000 martial coins. The shirtless man raised a finger and said. Yang Tian took out his wallet from his trouser pocket and counted 5 pieces of 10,000 martial coins. He threw them on the floor and said indifferently, "There are 5 pieces worth 10,000 each. Take them." The shirtless man signaled to one of his companions with his eyes. His companion ignored his nakedness and picked up the 5 pieces of banknotes. He looked at them and said, "It's real." The shirtless man laughed and said, "Although I've paid back the money, I, Liao Kai, have never failed to get the woman I want. This woman actually came. If she doesn't pay a price, she can't leave." Hearing the other party's words, Yang Tian immediately frowned. He could see that the people in the room were not ordinary people. At least 3 of them were enhancers. As for the other 4, 3 of them were level 1 warriors, and Liao Kai was a level 2 warrior. In a place like Paradise on Earth, most of the people who came to spend money were warriors. Even if rich people came to play, they would be accompanied by warriors. "You want to fight? Then put on your clothes first." Yang Tian was not afraid and said with a smile. Hearing Yang Tian's words, the naked men in the room felt that it was indecent and quickly put on their clothes. Soon, they were dressed and walked towards Yang Tian. "Hey, I didn't expect to fight. We came at the right time." At this time, Zhao Wu's voice sounded from behind Yang Tian. Yang Tian turned around and saw that the people from the previous table were all here. Xiao Fei walked forward and said to the people inside with a smile, "Get out of Paradise on Earth immediately. Otherwise, I'll make you all crawl out." "You are Xiao Fei." One of the people recognized Xiao Fei and said in surprise. Xiao Fei laughed and said, "I didn't expect to be so famous. Someone actually recognized me." Xiao Fei's words were tantamount to admitting his identity. Liao Kai, who was beating up Li Yin with his bare upper body, smiled and said, "So it's Brother Xiao from Tianwei Dojo? We're from Shunwei Dojo. Since we don't interfere with each other's business, let's forget about this matter. Let's go." After Liao Kai finished speaking, he waved to his underlings. After encountering such a situation, Yang Tian didn't have the mood to stay any longer. Li Yin actually went to work in such a place. Then Zhou Hao probably had something happen to him. Yang Tian apologized to Xiao Fei and the others and left paradise on earth with Li Yin. He took a taxi at the entrance and prepared to go to Zhou Hao's house. Zhou Hao's family condition was better than Yang Tian's. His family of 6 lived in a house of more than 100 square meters in the center of the city. However, after getting in the car, Li Yin told Yang Tian that Zhou Hao's family had moved and now live in a place near the west of the city. Yang Tian didn't say anything. Li Yin told the driver the detailed address, and the car quickly moved. After more than half an hour, they arrived at the place. In this era, almost every safe zone had areas with good conditions where the rich lived, and there were also slums where the poor lived. After getting out of the car, Yang Tian's eyes were low and shabby houses. Dim lights came out from the windows of many houses. Li Yin led the way in front. The two walked through narrow alleys. From time to time, women with heavy makeup would lean against the door and wave at Yang Tian. These women were mediocre, and some of them were middle-aged. Yang Tian frowned and didn't say anything. The bad feeling in his heart was getting stronger and stronger. After walking for more than 10 minutes, they finally arrived. Li Yin pushed open the door of a shabby small building and walked in. The two walked through the dark corridor and went up to the 3rd floor. Li Yin stopped at the door of a room and knocked. A little boy opened the door. After seeing Li Yin, he shouted in surprise, "Sister Yin, you're here? Please come in." "Where's your brother?" Li Yin asked. "My brother is in the house. He just lost his temper," the little boy said. Yang Tian also recognized this little boy. His name was Zhou Long, Zhou Hao's younger brother. He was 8 years old this year and was in primary school. After Li Yin walked in, Zhou Long found Yang Tian. He looked at Yang Tian and suddenly shouted, "Brother Tian, why are you here?" Yang Tian smiled and said, "I'm here to see your brother." Zhou Long nodded. "That's great. With you here, my brother won't lose his temper." After Yang Tian entered the house, he smelled a strong smell of disinfectant. He knew that someone was injured. He couldn't help but frown. At this time, Zhou Hao's parents and grandparents also came out. After seeing Yang Tian and Li Yin, they all smiled and looked very happy. Li Yin took Yang Tian to a small room. He saw Zhou Hao lying on the bed. The room was full of the smell of medicine. There was a lot of anti-inflammatory medicine piled on the bed. Zhou Hao's face was very pale. Compared to more than 10 days ago, he was a lot thinner. After seeing Yang Tian come in, Zhou Hao turned his head and tears flowed out. "Zhou Hao, what's going on?" Yang Tian stepped forward and asked with a frown. Zhou Hao turned his head after a long time. He looked at Yang Tian and wiped his tears. He forced an ugly smile and said, "It's all Sun Yu's fault. He asked people to deliberately provoke me. I couldn't help but fight with those people. Those people broke my legs. Shunwei Martial Arts Hall said that I violated the rules of the martial arts hall and expelled me. Yang Tian, there's still half a month. According to my training results, I can definitely get a level 1 Beast Core and complete the strengthening. I'm really disappointing. In order to cure my legs, my family sold the house. Little Yin still has to go to work. I'm really useless. I'm really useless," Zhou Hao said and hammered the bed. Chapter 27. Yang Tian did not expect Sun Yu to do this to Zhou Hao. He probably knew that Zhou Hao had an unusual relationship with him and wanted to cut off all possibilities of Yang Tian's development. Yang Tian clenched his fists. He felt that it was a pity that he did not kill Sun Yu last time. "Zhou Hao, don't worry. As long as I'm here, your family will be fine." Yang Tian nodded to Zhou Hao. "What can you do?" Zhou Hao was a little depressed. No matter what, he did not expect Yang Tian to be a level 2 martial artist now. Yang Tian smiled and said, "Zhou Hao, I've already joined Tianwei Martial Arts School and am a level 2 martial artist. Don't worry. I'll help you solve your problem. The most important thing now is to heal your leg. Let's go to the hospital now." Yang Tian knew that Zhou Hao and his family suffered because of him. Zhou Hao's girlfriend, Lian, was almost humiliated by someone. Yang Tian was responsible for Zhou Hao's matter. After Yang Tian finished speaking, he pulled Zhou Hao's quilt and saw that Zhou Hao's legs were wrapped in thick white bandages. The bandages were soaked in blood and turned dark red. Yang Tian frowned. He thought that if he met Sun Yu again, he would break all the bones in that scum's body to avenge Zhou Hao. Yang Tian carried Zhou Hao downstairs and walked out of the slums. He called for an ambulance from the city hospital. With money, the hospital's efficiency was higher than usual. They performed surgery on Zhou Hao overnight. The patient's body is very good. The fracture is not serious. As long as he stays in the hospital for a month, he will be able to recover completely. After the surgery, the doctor said to Yang Tian, "Thank you, doctor. I would like to know if he can recover faster if he were to consume a beast core now." Yang Tian asked. "Of course." The doctor said, "The beast core contains powerful energy. It can repair injuries and speed up the healing of wounds. If he is strengthened now, he can be discharged from the hospital in a week." Yang Tian nodded. After the operation, Zhou Hao was sent to a single intensive care unit. Because he had just finished the operation, Zhou Hao was in a coma. "Thank you. Thank you so much." When Yang Tian pushed open the door and walked in, Zhou Hao's family quickly stood up and thanked Yang Tian. Yang Tian scratched his head and said, "Zhou Hao and I are best friends, just like brothers. His matters are my matters. You should have told me about this earlier." After Yang Tian finished speaking, Lian pulled Yang Tian out of the ward. She looked like she wanted to say something. Yang Tian knew what Li Yin wanted to say to him. He smiled and said, "Don't worry. I won't tell Zhou Hao about heaven on earth. If something like this happens again, don't go to that kind of place. In that case, even if you cure Zhou Hao probably won't be able to accept it when he finds out." Li Yin nodded. Yang Tian took out a few name cards from his pocket and looked through them. He found Wang Guang's name card. Yang Tian immediately dialed Wang Guang's number. "Hello," the call went through quickly. Yang Tian said to the support device, "Is this Brother Wang? I am Yang Tian." "Yang Tian, what's the matter? If I can help, I will help." As Wang Guang was speaking, a woman's voice suddenly sounded. Yang Tian didn't expect Wang Guang to be doing something like that at this time. He smiled and said, "Brother Wang, don't you have a rank 1 beast core? Have you sold it? If you're not selling it, then sell it to me. I have a brother who needs it." Wang Guang said, "I haven't sold it yet. Take it if you want. I don't need money right now. When you find the beast core, you can return it to me. Where are you? Do you want it now? I will send it to you right away." Yang Tian thought about it and smiled. "This won't disturb you, right?" Wang Guang smiled and said, "This is not as important as my brother. Where are you? I will send it over immediately." "City Hospital," Yang Tian said. "Okay, I will hang up first," Wang Guang said. Although Wang Guang was about to hang up, Yang Tian heard a bang sound. It was probably the communication device being thrown away. Then, there was a woman's painful cry. Yang Tian pressed a button on the support device and ended the call. When Yang Tian was on the phone, Lian was standing next to him. When she heard that Yang Tian could get a rank 1 beast core with just a few words, she felt that Yang Tian had become much more mysterious. Yang Tian waited for about 10 minutes before Wang Guang arrived with a woman beside him. After seeing Yang Tian, Wang Guang took out a white beast core and threw it to Yang Tian. He smiled and threw it to Yang Tian. "Thanks, Brother Wang." Yang Tian took the beast core and smiled. "Don't mention it." "Okay, I still have things to do. I will leave first. Bye," Wang Guang said and left with the woman in his arms. After seeing Zhou Hao consume the rank 1 beast core, Yang Tian left a few tens of thousands of cash to Li Yin before leaving the hospital. After returning home, Yang Tian saw that his parents were still sleeping on the sofa. He knew that his parents were digesting the energy of the beast core, so he sat on the sofa and closed his eyes to watch over them. The next morning, at 7 o'clock, Yang Tian and Wang Hong woke up. At this time, Yang Tian had already fallen asleep on the sofa. After waking up, Yang Lin stretched his body and said excitedly, "Hey, I feel so energetic. Wang Hong looked at Yang Tian's sleeping face and said with a smile, I feel like my body is full of energy. It is like I have an endless supply of energy. Just as the two of them were talking, Yang Tian woke up. Dad, Mom, congratulations. You have become enhancers. Since you are not yet 50 years old, go to the gym and exercise more often. Your body will be better. Yang Tian was stunned for a moment. Seeing that his parents were much more energetic than before, he said with a smile. Yang Lin laughed and nodded. It's already 7 o'clock. I should go buy some groceries. Wang Hong saw the time and quickly stood up. She went to the room to get her purse and opened the door. At 9 o'clock, the family had breakfast. Yang Tian took his parents to the city center and found a real estate sales department. He spent more than 700,000 Marshall coins to buy a new house with 4 rooms and a living room. It was 180 square meters. The house was on the 3rd floor. It was already renovated and ready to move in at any time. After that, Yang Tian called for a truck. The family of 3 was busy for the whole day and finally moved into the new house. They went to the furniture store and bought a lot of new furniture. Yang Tian planned to give the old house to Zhou Hao and his family for them to live there temporarily. Although it was a little cramped for the family of 6, it was much better than living in the slums. It was also convenient for Zhou Hao's brother, Zhou Long, to go to school. Now, Yang Tian had more than 2,800,000 in his bank account. In just 1 or 2 days, he had spent nearly 1 million. If he counted the 1 million beast cores, he would have spent 2 million. To Yang Tian, the money spent was worth it. Becoming a martial artist, improving the living conditions of his family, and allowing his parents to live a better life was one of his goals in the past. In this era, the fastest way to achieve this goal was to become a warrior. In the future, Yang Tian would start to focus on cultivation. Becoming the strongest warrior in the world was his ultimate goal. In the new house, Yang Tian used the camera function of the auxiliary device to take pictures of the situation in the house and sent them to Qin Fei. He told her that he was already a level 2 warrior and promised her that he would become a level 4 or even level 5 warrior within 3 years. He would fulfill his promise with Grandpa Qin and marry her. Qin Fei was happy to see Yang Tian so motivated. The two of them talked sweet nothings for a long time. Chapter 28. After staying at home for a few days, on the 20th of July, Yang Tian brought the little blue dragon to Tianwei Dojo to report. Because Yang Tian was a rank 2 martialist and was very young, only 18 years old, the dojo attached great importance to him and gave Yang Tian a private suite. In the dojo's training field, Yang Tian finally met Lu Xiao and Zhou Feng. The two women were around 27 or 28 years old and were rare beauties with hot figures. Moreover, they were both rank 2 martialists. Among martialists, the ratio of men to women was imbalanced. The ratio was 10 to 2, which meant that only 2 out of 10 martialists were women. In the dojo, the 2 women naturally received the favor of countless male martialists. Zhao Wu told Yang Tian that the 2 women both liked Xiao Fei. Although they were in a competitive state, the relationship between the 2 women was very good. After the 2 women saw Yang Tian, they asked Yang Tian to call them Big Sister. Xiao Fei's team now had 8 people, including Yang Tian. The 8 of them already had a ranking. Xiao Fei looked very young, but he was already 36 years old and was the leader of the team. Zhou Feng was 29 years old and ranked 2nd. Lu Xiao was 28 years old and ranked 3rd. Then there was Wang Guang, Zhao Wu, Lu Jian, and Li Xian. Yang Tian was the youngest and ranked last. He was called Old 8 by his teammates. Yang Tian would have to call Xiao Fei big brother, Zhou Feng 2nd sister, Lu Xiao 3rd sister, Wang Guang 4th brother, Zhao Wu 5th brother, Lu Jian 6th brother, and Li Xian 7th brother. Yang Tian joked and called Lu Xiao and Zhou Feng 3rd sister Lu and sister Feng. He was punched by the 2 women and could only call them 3rd sister and 2nd sister. Only then did the 2 women nod in satisfaction. Yang Tian felt that his luck was really good. Not only did he get the little blue dragon, but now he had joined a very humane team. In such a team, Yang Tian believed that the days ahead would be very exciting. Over the next few days, the 7 members of the team practiced their martial techniques under Xiao Fei's guidance, sparring with each other. Yang Tian felt that he had made great progress. In just a few days, he had cultivated the breaking shadow saber technique to its peak. At this moment, Yang Tian felt that it was time for him to cultivate a higher-level combat skill. Xiao Fei had a wealth of battle experience, and his understanding of battle techniques had already surpassed Yang Tian and the other level 1 or 2 martial artists. Xiao Fei could tell that Yang Tian had an advantage in terms of speed, so he introduced Yang Tian to buy a set of blade techniques called lightning and a set of fist techniques called collapsing thunder from the dojo. Martial artists didn't just specialize in one set of combat skills. Most of them would cultivate a type of combat skill that used weapons and a set of barehanded combat skills. After looking at the introduction of the 2 sets of combat skills, Yang Tian spent 1 million martial coins to buy the 2 sets of combat skills. This was a special type of combat skill owned by the Tianwei Dojo. In the auxiliary equipment store, the price of each set of combat skills was as high as 2,500,000 martial coins. However, in the dojo, it only cost 500,000 martial coins, which was much cheaper. The dojo didn't forbid members from teaching combat skills to each other. However, every martial artist situation was different. Some had great strength, so they would cultivate combat skills that could unleash their strength. Some used short sabers, so they would cultivate combat skills with short sabers. The lightning saber technique and the collapsing thunder fist technique were both level 2 combat skills. They were the same as the breaking shadow saber technique that Yang Tian had bought before. Not only did they have moves, but they also had breathing techniques that could be used together with them. In fact, the breathing technique was the most important part of every combat skill. When practicing, one had to use one's own thoughts to feel the aura within one's body. This was similar to the cultivation of Qigong. The cultivation of Qigong was based on the Dantian. However, the cultivation of martial artists didn't have the concept of the Dantian. It was purely about feeling the aura flowing within one's body. The higher the level of a martial artist, the clearer they could feel the aura flowing within their body. In other words, it was a type of energy. Martial artists from level 1 to level 5 could only vaguely feel and control the aura. However, martial artists from level 6 and above could control the aura at will. They found that by controlling the flow of the aura to a certain part of the body, the strength and speed of that part of the body would increase, and the resistance to attacks would also become stronger. Regarding this type of aura, martial artists called it hidden power. After buying the 2 sets of combat skills, Yang Tian entered a small practice room in the dojo that was more than 100 square meters. This was a place that the dojo specially prepared for martial artists to practice alone. Yang Tian entered the practice room number 0 and turned on the auxiliary equipment to play the 2 sets of combat skills. In the video, there was a masked man in black. He first talked about the breathing technique and then the movements. In the process, he demonstrated and pointed out the essentials. Yang Tian finished watching the 2 sets of combat skills in one go. First, he began to practice the lightning blade technique. This kind of practice room was confidential. There was no monitoring equipment inside. When Yang Tian began to practice, the little blue dragon that was lying on his chest came out and jumped to the ground. It curiously watched Yang Tian practice. Exhale, inhale, exhale. Concentrate your mind on your chest. You'll feel a vague force. Use your mind to touch it. Yang Tian began to practice according to the breathing technique. Half an hour later, Yang Tian felt his whole body heat up. Suddenly, there was an aura in his body that was concentrated on his chest. He tried to control this aura, to split it into 2 and flow it to his hands. What Yang Tian did not expect was that he would be able to easily control this aura and split it between his hands. Suddenly, Yang Tian opened his eyes. At this time, Yang Tian didn't know if it was an illusion or if there was really an aura flowing in his body. He only felt that his hands were full of strength. He picked up the Tang saber on his knees and began to practice according to the moves of the lightning blade technique. The lightning blade technique was a blade technique that emphasized speed. It was similar to the shadow breaking blade. Yang Tian practiced for the first time. He finished practicing the entire set of moves. Looking at the time, it took him 1.5 hours. The second time, it took him 1.5 hours. After practicing the blade technique for half a day, Yang Tian began to practice the thunder crash fist technique in the afternoon. The breathing technique of this fist technique focused on concentrating the aura on the fists of both hands. This would make the fists harder. At the end of the video, it was explained that after a level 2 martial artist practiced the fist technique to the great completion realm, one punch could break through a thick concrete wall. Of course, this concrete wall didn't need steel bars. A level 2 martial artist's fist wasn't strong enough to break steel bars. For the next half a month, Yang Tian practiced nonstop. He became more and more proficient in both the blade technique and the fist technique. During this process, Yang Tian would take time out every 2 days to call Qin Fei or go home to accompany his parents. Although he was far away from Qin Fei, Yang Tian felt that their relationship was getting closer. Sometimes, he would even dare to talk about some topics between men and women. Yang Tian's parents, Yang Lin and Wang Hong, looked like they were 10 years old in a short time after their bodies were strengthened. They looked like they were in their early 30s. Even the white hair on their heads had disappeared. This was the effect of strengthening. It could make an ordinary person's body stronger and live longer. As for Zhou Hao, he had been discharged from the hospital a few days ago. His family was living in the house that Yang Tian and the others used to live in. Because Zhou Hao had become an enhancer, Yang Tian found a chance to talk to Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei told the higher-ups and recruited Zhou Hao into the Tian Wei martial arts dojo. In the dojo, Zhou Hao was assigned to the student area because he wasn't a martial artist. He was taught by a martial artist. The dojo wouldn't give Zhou Hao special treatment because of his relationship. The reason why Yang Tian could practice independently and use a separate training room was because Yang Tian was now a level 2 martial artist. He was noticed by the higher-ups of the dojo. Naturally, he would be treated differently from ordinary martial artists. The time to practice martial arts passed very quickly. Soon, it was July 31st. In the separate training room, Yang Tian had just finished practicing his fist technique when the doorbell rang. Yang Tian opened the door, and Zhao Wu appeared at the door. "Fifth brother," Yang Tian said with a smile as he let out a long sigh and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Zhao Wu looked at Yang Tian's sweaty body and said with a smile, "One's sweat, one's gain. Eighth brother, you being able to become a level 2 martial artist is indeed the result of hard work. Looks like I have to work hard too." After Zhao Wu finished speaking, he continued, "Eighth brother, get ready. Our team will set off tomorrow to train in the danger zone. We'll be there for 5 months." "Okay," Yang Tian said excitedly. He had been looking forward to going out to train for a long time. Now it was finally time. A martial artist needed to constantly level up. It wasn't something that could be done just by practicing in the training room. Instead, it required a large amount of actual combat experience and constant battles with exotic beasts. For Yang Tian, this was the perfect time. During this period of time, he had just finished practicing 2 sets of martial arts. It was time to test them out. After tidying up, Yang Tian returned to his residence in the dojo. He changed out of his sweaty clothes, took a cold shower, and changed into a clean set of clothes. Because he was going to be away for 5 months, Yang Tian returned home at night and had dinner with his parents. When he returned to his residence, it was already 10 at night. Yang Tian gave Qin Fei a call and chatted for a while. In order not to worry Qin Fei, Yang Tian didn't mention anything about going out to train for 5 months. After the call ended, Yang Tian was about to go to bed when the little blue dragon jumped over and squeaked a few times at Yang Tian. "What? Eat a level 3 beast core?" It turned out that the little blue dragon had told Yang Tian to eat a level 3 beast core. Chapter 29. Yang Tian did not know why the little blue dragon wanted him to swallow the rank 3 beast core, but he believed that Xiao Long must have his reasons for wanting him to do so. Yang Tian took out the red rank 3 beast core from his backpack and placed it in his mouth. Once the rank 3 beast core entered his stomach. It was the same as before. A warm current appeared and spread throughout Yang Tian's body, through his blood. Squeak, squeak, squeak. At this moment, the little blue dragon kept making noises. It was actually telling Yang Tian about a special technique. Yang Tian did not think too much about it. Following Xiao Long's instructions, he began to use his own thoughts to control the warm current in his body and gather it at his chest. Soon, Yang Tian discovered something strange. This was because the warm current rising from his stomach actually obediently gathered at his chest area, according to his thoughts. Yang Tian realized that this was too similar to the situation in his dream. In the long dream earlier, Yang Tian turned into a Xiao Long. In order to become stronger, he kept killing exotic beasts and devouring their blood essence. Not long after, Dragon Ball was formed in his body. That's right, it was the Dragon Ball. Now, it can't be like this, right? Yang Tian thought curiously. Because his thoughts were in a mess, Yang Tian's thoughts scattered and the warm current spread throughout his body. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The little blue dragon realized that Yang Tian was not concentrating and began to blame Yang Tian. Sorry, I was distracted. Continue. Yang Tian said as he relaxed his mind and focused his mind. Just like before, he controlled the heat flow in his body and gathered it at his chest. The energy of the rank 3 beast core kept appearing in Yang Tian's stomach, as if it was endless. Soon, Yang Tian was immersed in this state. The warm flow in his stomach was the energy of a rank 3 beast core. After an unknown amount of time, Yang Tian finally gathered all the energy in his chest. In Yang Tian's mind, it was as if he had entered the dream from before and transformed into a dragon. When the energy of the level 3 beast core was gathered together, boom! Yang Tian's mind rumbled, and he felt his soul tremble. All of a sudden, he found himself in a strange space. His consciousness filled this space. Dragon Ball space. This thought suddenly appeared in Yang Tian's mind. Creak, creak, creak. At this moment, the little blue dragon's voice sounded again. The little blue dragon's cry did not appear in Yang Tian's ears, but in Yang Tian's soul. The little blue dragon explained to Yang Tian how to control the Dragon Ball, and told Yang Tian how to make the Dragon Ball absorb and release energy. After a long time, Yang Tian opened his eyes. There was a flash of green light in his eyes, just like the little blue dragon's eyes. This is unbelievable. A Dragon Ball formed in my body. Then, am I still human? Yang Tian scratched his head and said to himself. After the Dragon Ball formed in his body, the little blue dragon told Yang Tian how to use the Dragon Ball. There was a saying in Taoism that one could condense a golden core in their dantian and achieve an immortal body. Was the dragon's Dragon Ball condensed in his body the same way? Yang Tian thought for a while, then closed his eyes again. This time, he focused his mind on the Dragon Ball that appeared in his chest. This Dragon Ball was still a bit unreal to Yang Tian. A human's chest has a heart, lungs, and a little lower down, a stomach. Yang Tian could sense that the dragon pearl that formed in his body was definitely not within these organs. Then where was the Dragon Ball? This kind of mysterious thing was very difficult to think about. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The little blue dragon looked at Yang Tian's frowning appearance, as if it knew the doubts in Yang Tian's heart. It told Yang Tian not to worry so much and just let the Dragon Ball continue to grow bigger in the future. Yang Tian nodded his head. The situation just now for Yang Tian was like the Qigong master's inner vision. Unknowingly, it was already 1:30 a.m. on August 1st. Xiaolong, let's go. Let's go to the training room to take a look. We have to try the power of the Dragon Ball. Yang Tian used inner vision a few times, opened his eyes, and said excitedly. He immediately got up and put on his clothes. Although it was late at night, there were still people training in the dojo. When Yang Tian passed by the entrance of the training room, he could hear the shouts coming from inside. Yang Tian did not enter the training room. Instead, he went directly to number 05 independent training room, turned on the lights and air conditioner inside, and closed the door. The little blue dragon came out from Yang Tian's collar. This time, what Yang Tian wanted to try was to use the power of the Dragon Ball. The little blue dragon told Yang Tian that the Dragon Ball could gather energy and also release energy. Yang Tian's understanding was that the Dragon Ball was like a battery. Normally, the Dragon Ball could absorb energy and store a large amount of energy in it, and when needed, it could extract energy from it. This was simply too awesome. One must know that the Dragon Ball could be upgraded. No matter how large the energy, it could be stored, and when needed, it could allow Yang Tian to maintain his fighting state for a long time. Not only that, the growth of the Dragon Ball would also lead to the growth of Yang Tian's body. Collapsing Thunder Fist. Yang Tian stood in the training room, took a few deep breaths, and suddenly shouted. When using the Collapsing Thunder Fist, one must use the breathing technique of this fist technique to concentrate the hidden energy in the body into the fist. This way, the fist would be harder and achieve the goal of being invincible. But at this time, Yang Tian did not use the breathing technique of the Collapsing Thunder Fist. Instead, he directly transferred the energy from the Dragon Ball in his body and concentrated it on his fist. As Yang Tian danced, the fist technique was displayed. His fist actually rubbed against the air, producing a whistling sound. It was too refreshing. This was what Yang Tian felt at this moment. Previously, when he used the breathing technique of the Collapsing Thunder Fist, the aura in his body, which was what martial artists call the hidden energy, was concentrated on the fist. As the body and arm moved, it would always be somewhat erratic. But now, Yang Tian found that when he transferred the energy from the Dragon Ball, the energy could be continuously concentrated on his fist, allowing him to not be distracted to control the hidden energy. In this way, the fist technique was even smoother. In only 5 minutes, Yang Tian finished a set of Collapsing Thunder Fist. Next was the saber technique. Lightning Saber. It required the saber to be fast, the faster the better. At the same time, because Yang Tian did not need to be distracted to control the hidden energy, his saber technique was much smoother than before. After practicing the Collapsing Thunder Fist and Lightning Saber technique several times, Yang Tian stopped. At 4 o'clock in the morning, Yang Tian left the practice room 05 and returned to his residence to check his equipment. The scheduled time was 8 o'clock in the morning. After Yang Tian packed his things, he looked at the time. It was not even 4:30 yet. He took a cold shower and changed into a clean set of clothes. Just now, he had been practicing his fist technique and saber technique in the practice room. His body was covered in sweat. Lying on the bed, Yang Tian did not feel sleepy at all. When Yang Tian thought of the Dragon Ball in his body, he knew that from now on, his cultivation method would be different compared to other martial artists. Every time a martial artist wanted to advance by one level, they would need to consume a beast core of the corresponding level. Consuming a beast core of a lower level would not change their physical fitness much. But for Yang Tian, it was different. After obtaining the Dragon Ball, regardless of the level of the beast core, it would be helpful to him. For example, he could now consume beast cores from level 1 to level 3 to replenish his energy. Yang Tian thought for a moment and took out the only level 2 beast core from his bag. Looking at this beast core, Yang Tian's consciousness had a strong urge to consume it. The Dragon Ball in his chest also trembled a few times. Xiao Long. Yang Tian hesitated for a moment and turned his head to look at the little blue dragon lying on his bed. The little blue dragon looked at the beast core in Yang Tian's hand eagerly. Yang Tian then remembered that the little blue dragon's body also had a Dragon Ball. This little guy had only consumed one level 1 beast core and one level 2 beast core for him during this period of time. Yang Tian was very touched and handed the beast core to the little blue dragon. Xiaolong, I'll let you have this beast core. In the future, we'll split the beast cores equally. How about it? Squeak, squeak. The little blue dragon let out a cheerful cry and jumped onto Yang Tian's chest. It used its head to intimately rub against Yang Tian's cheek. Then, the little blue dragon jumped and took the beast core from Yang Tian's hand and held it to the side to eat. Chapter 30. At 7:50 a.m., Yang Tian arrived at the dojo's training ground. Xiao Fei had said that they would gather here at 8 a.m. sharp. Yang Tian arrived 10 minutes early, but everyone was already there. "Let's go." Xiao Fei didn't say anything. He waved at his 7 teammates and walked toward the door. Behind Yang Tian and his team, many people looked at them enviously. Xiao Fei was a level 4 martial artist. With a leader like him leading the team, there wouldn't be any accidents in the danger zone. Unless they were really unlucky and encountered a high-level exotic beast, there would always be a huge harvest. 2 black SUVs were parked at the entrance of the dojo. Zhao Wu smiled and said, "2 cars weren't enough before, but now it's just right." Everyone laughed. After putting their backpacks in the trunk, Xiao Fei sat in the driver's seat of the first SUV. Zhou Feng moved the fastest and sat in the front passenger seat. Lu Xiao pouted, opened the door, and sat in the back. At this time, Zhao Wu, Wang Guang, Lu Jian, and Li Xian were already in the second SUV. Yang Tian could only sit in the back with Lu Xiao. The car started moving very quickly. Because the martial artist had fast reflexes, they drove very fast. It was like racing through the city, and they soon arrived at the city gate. The city gate was open, and Xiao Fei drove out directly. There was no need to check when leaving the city, but there was a check when entering the city. If one didn't have proof of residency or a martial artist proof, they wouldn't be allowed to enter. After leaving the city, Yang Tian noticed that Xiao Fei made a turn and headed south. Before the YS virus outbreak, roads had been built in all directions. Although many of the roads had been destroyed by exotic beasts, most of the roads could still be driven. The car traveled at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. After 2 hours, it finally stopped. At this time, they were more than 100 kilometers away from the city and had entered the danger zone. In front of them was a dense forest. Everyone got out of the car, took out their backpacks from the trunk, and checked their equipment. After sorting out their equipment, Xiao Fei said with a smile, "Our goal this time is to kill a level 5 exotic beast. I only want the level 5 beast core. You guys can split the rest." A level 5 exotic beast. When Yang Tian heard this, his eyes lit up. With his current strength, killing a level 3 exotic beast shouldn't be a problem. If he encountered a level 4 exotic beast, with the help of the little blue dragon, he might be able to put up a fight. However, if he encountered a level 5 exotic beast, he would probably have no choice but to turn and run. High-level exotic beasts were extremely rare. It wasn't that easy to find one. After the outbreak of the YS virus, the danger zones where mutated beasts roamed were devoid of humans. Plants grew at an insane rate. Many of the originally barren plains had turned into dense forests. Xiao Fei led everyone into the dimly lit forest. At this time, everyone took out their weapons. This was the first time that Yang Tian had seen Xiao Fei use such a weapon. Xiao Fei was using 2 short knives that were less than 2 feet long. It was obvious that Xiao Fei specialized in close combat. Zhou Feng used a short sword with a wide arc, just like a Japanese katana. Lu Xiao used a double stab. Zhao Wu's weapon was the same as Yang Tian's, a tang sword. Wang Guang was a big guy. He carried a Gatling gun and a thick belt of bullets on his shoulder. Lu Jian used a scimitar. Lu Xian used a retractable spear. He also carried a mechanical bow and a quiver of arrows on his back. After entering the dense forest, everyone stopped talking and moved forward carefully. The main goal of this 5-month expedition was to kill a level 5 exotic beast. Xiao Fei wasn't moving forward aimlessly. As he walked, he kept looking at the martial artist support device on his hand. It seemed like he was correcting his route. Whoosh! After walking for about half an hour, they suddenly heard a gust of wind in front of them. "Be careful. It's a level 1 green python," Xiao Fei said in a deep voice as he dodged the tail swipe of the green python. Everyone immediately took a few steps back. This green python was thicker than the one that Yang Tian had seen before. It was coiled around a large tree and flicking its red tongue at Yang Tian and the others. "Who's going to kill it?" Xiao Fei turned around and said with a smile. "Yang Tian, go. He just joined our team. If this green python has a beast core, then he'll be lucky," Li Xian said with a smile. After Li Xian said that, everyone nodded their heads. Yang Tian knew that his teammates were taking care of him. If the green python was killed, the beast core that they obtained would not belong to the team. It would belong to Yang Tian. Yang Tian did not decline. He nodded and walked toward the green python. When the green python saw Yang Tian walking toward it, it suddenly opened its mouth and tried to bite at Yang Tian. Yang Tian jumped lightly and appeared on top of the green python's head. He slashed at it. Yang Tian's slash easily chopped off the head of the level 1 green python, as if it was effortless. Xiao Fei nodded his head when he saw that Yang Tian had killed a level 1 green python so easily. Yang Tian looked at the green python's head and slashed it twice. He cut open the green python's head and used the tip of his blade to pick out a white beast core. Yang Tian took it out. Eighth brother's luck is too good, Zhao Wu said with a smile when he saw that Yang Tian had obtained a level 1 beast core from killing the green python for the first time. Yang Tian grabbed the beast core in the air and took out a tissue from his pocket to wipe off the liquid on it. He then walked over to Guang Wang and handed it to him. Fourth brother, here you go. I haven't thanked you properly for what you did last time. Guang Wang did not hesitate and took the beast core from Yang Tian's hand. He patted Yang Tian's shoulder and said with a smile, Eighth brother, you've given us a good start. We'll definitely have a great harvest this time. It was superstitious for martial artists to form a team and go out for training. It was as if one had to have a good start before doing something. Yang Tian chuckled and scratched his head. It's noon now. We can have a good meal of python meat. My 2 female comrades, it's all up to you. Xiao Fei looked at the python's corpse and said with a smile. Next, Zhou Feng and Lu Xiao took an alloy dagger and skinned the green python. They cut the meat into small pieces, took out a small pot from their backpack, and marinated it with salt and other spices. More than 10 minutes later, they took out the kettle and poured water. At this time, Guang Wang and the rest had already started a fire and planted tree trunks on both sides of the fire. All of this was done very skillfully. Half an hour later, the 4 pots of python meat were cooked. Everyone took out the forks that they had prepared earlier and started eating the python meat in the pot. It would be great if we had wine. It's a pity that we can't drink when we go out, Guang Wang said as he chewed on the python meat. Li Xian said, This is a lesson. Back then, before Yang Tian joined our team, there were also 8 of us. When Li Xian said this, he stopped talking. That was because he realized that other than Yang Tian, his teammates' expressions had suddenly become a little gloomy. Xiao Fei glanced at the puzzled Yang Tian and said indifferently, There's nothing to hide. A year ago, a guy called Wu Long secretly brought wine with him when he went out for training. He drank too much at night and happened to encounter a pack of wolves. Our team of 7 ran very far before we discovered that Wu Long had fallen behind. After the pack of wolves dispersed and we returned to the camp, all that was left of Wu Long was a pile of bones. Yang Tian, you have to remember that you have to be vigilant at all times in the wild. Even when you're sleeping, you have to keep one eye open. That's because no one knows when an exotic beast will suddenly appear in front of you. Yang Tian nodded. After finishing their meal and cleaning up the tableware, the group continued on their way. Captain, you seem to know where the rank 5 exotic beast is? Yang Tian asked curiously as he followed behind Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei nodded. Many small teams will encounter a lot of exotic beasts when they're out training. There are some high-level exotic beasts that they can't kill, so they can spread the news. If others want to see it, they'll have to pay. I bought this news for 100,000 martial coins. After Xiao Fei finished speaking, Yang Tian said with a frown, In that case, others will definitely know where the exotic beast is. Xiao Fei nodded. Of course. However, the higher the level of the exotic beast, the further it is from the safe zone. It's not that easy to get there. You have to know that you'll encounter a lot of exotic beasts along the way, especially a pack of exotic beasts. If you're trapped and can't escape in time, only death awaits you. Yang Tian understood what Xiao Fei meant. Even if others knew where the exotic beast was, they might not be able to find it. They might even die along the way. Without waiting for Yang Tian to ask, Xiao Fei took the initiative to say that rank 5 exotic beast is a silverback bear. It's 5 meters tall when it stands up. Its skin is thick and it's very strong. It's not easy to deal with. If we can kill it, I won't have to worry about the problem of advancing to rank 5. Traveling through the dense forest was an extremely painful experience. The journey wasn't easy, and they had to be on guard at all times to see if an exotic beast would suddenly appear. Chapter 31. The exotic beasts were also very smart. They were able to sense how powerful Yang Tian's group was. Most of the exotic beasts ran far away when they saw Yang Tian's group. Only a small number of exotic beasts suddenly jumped out and attacked Yang Tian's group, perhaps because they had invaded their territory. During this process, most of the exotic beasts they encountered were pythons, mutated lizards, silver-furred boars, red-clawed cats, and other low-level exotic beasts. During this process, Yang Tian's group only encountered 3 high-level exotic beasts. However, after killing them, they didn't find any beast cores in their skulls. It was just like how Yang Tian's slash had used up all his luck. However, Yang Tian discovered that his teammates were very optimistic. This wasn't their first time hunting exotic beasts as a group. It was normal for them to say something like this. If they could find a beast core every time they killed an exotic beast, beast cores wouldn't be so valuable. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun had yet to set, but the light in the forest had already dimmed. Xiao Fei had his teammates stop and start looking for a place to set up camp. Xiao Fei was very experienced. Who knew how many times he had gone out for training? He pressed his ear against the rocks and looked at the support device on his wrist. After walking for about a kilometer, he found a stream. Generally speaking, places with water were the places where exotic beasts gathered the most. That was because exotic beasts also needed to drink water. Xiao Fei had his teammates stop 100 meters away from the stream. He took out 8 water bottles and returned after a short while. He distributed the water bottles to everyone and said, "Hurry up and leave this place. There is a pack of blackback wolves nearby. If they discover us, we will be in danger." Upon hearing the words pack of blackback wolves, Yang Tian saw the grave expressions on his teammates' faces. Sometimes, a single powerful exotic beast wasn't scary. What was scary was a pack of exotic beasts. There was a saying, "Enough ants can bite an elephant to death." This was the logic behind it. No matter how powerful a cultivator was, they wouldn't be able to withstand a prolonged siege by exotic beasts. Xiao Fei led Yang Tian's group a kilometer away and set up camp in an open area on a small mountain peak. Taking advantage of the fact that the sky wasn't dark yet, everyone took out their prepared rations and had a simple meal in the stream. They couldn't light a fire at night, nor could they make a strong smell of blood. Otherwise, it would attract all the exotic beasts in the area. When night fell, they all took out their sleeping bags from their backpacks. They took turns to sleep. Yang Tian, Xiao Fei, and the 2 girls were responsible for the first half of the night, while the other 4 were responsible for the second half. At around 8 o'clock in the evening, the forest nearby was filled with rustling sounds. There were even wolf howls in the distance, which sounded very scary. This was the first time Yang Tian spent the night outside the danger zone. He felt a sense of novelty. He hugged his saber and leaned against a rock as he looked up at the night sky. Ever since the outbreak of the YS virus and the appearance of mutated beasts in this world, the natural environment had improved. The night sky had also become brighter. Calm. At 1 o'clock in the morning, Xiao Fei woke up Zhao Wu, Lu Jian, Wang Guang, and Li Xian. It was their turn to keep watch. Yang Tian was still very energetic at this time. He wasn't sleepy, but he still crawled into his sleeping bag and closed his eyes. Yang Tian fell asleep without realizing it. After an unknown period of time, Yang Tian was suddenly woken up by someone. It was Xiao Fei who woke Yang Tian up. "Get up quickly. We're in trouble," Xiao Fei said to Yang Tian. "What trouble?" Yang Tian asked softly. Xiao Fei said, "We're surrounded by a pack of wolves." Yang Tian immediately crawled out of his sleeping bag and looked around. He saw that the bottom of the hill was filled with green lights. These lights weren't fireflies, but the eyes of wolves. Yang Tian immediately put on his night vision goggles, carried his backpack, drew his sword, and approached his teammates. The 8 of them had their backs against each other. Each of them was guarding a direction, cautiously looking at the approaching pack of wolves. F***CK. How did these guys find us? Wang Guang said while gritting his teeth as he aimed the Gatling gun at the pack of wolves. I don't know. Wolves are very cunning. They probably smelled our scent and followed us here. Xiao Fei said calmly. At this time, a wolf howl came from the forest below. Bang, bang, bang. Wang Guang responded with a hail of bullets. The Gatling gun in his hand spewed out 2-feet-long flames. Under the dim night sky, Yang Tian saw the dense barrage of bullets rushing into the forest below. Many thick trees were blasted into 2 halves. Several blackback wolves were shot into pieces, their flesh and blood splattered all over the place. After firing for a while, Wang Guang stopped. Actually, Wang Guang's Gatling gun was the best weapon against this pack of wolves. Even level 3 green-toothed wolves couldn't withstand the powerful bullets of the Gatling gun. Not long after Wang Guang stopped, another wolf howl came from further away. Obviously, this wolf howl was the order to attack from the pack leader. Wang Guang's bullets didn't hit it. This cunning guy ran further away to give the order. Suddenly, a dense, rustling sound came from the bottom of the hill. A large number of blackback wolves pounced towards Yang Tian and the others. Bang, 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 bang. Wang Guang fired continuously with the Gatling gun. Li Xian had long since taken out his mechanical bow and shot down the incoming blackback wolves at a rate of 1 arrow per second. In less than 2 minutes, he had emptied his quiver of arrows. He tossed away the mechanical bow and pulled out the spear beside him. Then, he pulled it out and formed a long spear. Facing the incoming blackback wolves, he flicked the spear and sent one of them flying. Although Wang Guang's Gatling gun was powerful, it could only cover one direction. There were wolves coming from all directions. At this time, Yang Tian also waved the Tang saber in his hand. The blackback wolves were all cut in half by him. In less than 3 minutes, Wang Guang used up a chain of bullets. He didn't have time to change the chain of bullets. He threw the heavy Gatling gun on the ground and picked up an alloy saber to hack at the wolves. When the gunshots stopped, the blackback wolves became even more ferocious. They attacked Yang Tian and the others without any regard for their lives. After 10 minutes, Yang Tian estimated that he had killed dozens of wolves. However, the blackback wolves below were still coming up. Just how many wolves were there in this pack? Yang Tian was very surprised. The pack of wolves didn't care about casualties and attacked them as if they were mortal enemies. We can't continue like this. There are more than 1,000 wolves in this pack. If we continue to kill, we will die of exhaustion. At this time, Xiao Fei said loudly. Then what do we do? Zhou Feng asked. Xiao Fei used his saber to hack away 2 blackback wolves and said loudly, You guys stay here. I will go and find their leader. Only by killing the leader of the wolf pack will the wolf pack disperse. At this time, it was already 5 o'clock in the morning. The stars in the sky had already disappeared. There was only a crescent moon. Everywhere was dark. At this time, Lu Xiao said loudly, There are so many wolves. How are you going to find their leader? Xiao Fei frowned and became silent. Let me go. Yang Tian raised his leg and kicked away a black north wolf that was pouncing at him. Don't mess around. Xiao Fei turned his head and looked at Yang Tian and said loudly. Yang Tian laughed and said, I'm not messing around. If this continues, we will all be finished. I can find the leader of the pack. You guys have to believe me. From a night vision goggles, Xiao Fei saw Yang Tian's firm expression and nodded. Chapter 32. Others might not be able to find the leader of the wolf pack in such a short time, but for Yang Tian, it was extremely easy, because Yang Tian had the little blue dragon. Yang Tian held his saber and rushed down the hill. Rushing down the hill, Yang Tian slashed for a while and took the opportunity to say to Xiaolong, Xiaolong, it's your turn now. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Little blue dragon heard Yang Tian's voice and rushed out of the backpack. After landing on the ground, it cried out a few times, meaning to tell Yang Tian that it promised to complete the task. Little blue dragon's figure flashed and rushed forward. Yang Tian immediately followed. At this time, Yang Tian discovered another very strange thing. That is, he can feel the little blue dragon's position. Yang Tian could not help but think of the little blue dragon establishing a blood contract with him. Kill. Just after killing 2 blackback wolves, 10 more rushed in front of Yang Tian, baring their teeth and rushing towards him. Yang Tian saw the blackback wolves pouncing towards him through the night vision goggles and sneered. With a flick of his wrist, the Tang saber in his hand drew across, and 2 blackback wolves were sent flying to the side. The fierce battle had been going on for a long time. Even strongest Xiao Fei felt a little tired at this time. But Yang Tian felt more and more energetic the more he killed, as if his whole body had inexhaustible strength. This is the reason why he has the Dragon Ball in his body. At this time, the Dragon Ball is like a discharging battery, continuously providing energy for Yang Tian. With the obstruction of the wolf pack, Yang Tian's speed was very slow. After about 10 minutes, he only moved less than 200 meters. Suddenly, a wolf howl sounded in the forest in front of him. Yang Tian could hear that this wolf howl carried a kind of pain. When this howl sounded, Yang Tian found that the blackback wolves surrounding him suddenly became chaotic, and their attacks were not as fierce as before. The little blue dragon had found the wolf pack leader. Yang Tian chuckled and took advantage of the chaos in the wolf pack to rush towards the little blue dragon. Puff, puff, puff. The Tang saber in Yang Tian's hand turned into a sharp white light. All the black-backed wolves in front of him were swept by the blade. Some of them were directly cut into 2. Yang Tian felt as if his blood was burning. Phew! At this moment, a level 1 silver-toothed wolf pounced over. The silver-toothed wolf was much larger than the average black-backed wolf. Yang Tian didn't even put a level 1 exotic beast in his eyes. Facing this silver-toothed wolf, Yang Tian raised the blade in his hand and sliced open its abdomen, causing its internal organs to flow out. Bang! After kicking the silver-toothed wolf that was still alive, Yang Tian continued to rush forward. Yang Tian knew that he was very close to the wolf pack leader. This silver-toothed wolf seemed to be the wolf pack leader's bodyguard. Just as Yang Tian had expected, after killing 1 silver-toothed wolf, another 2 appeared in front of him to block his path. One of the 2 silver-toothed wolves directly rushed towards Yang Tian, while the other pounced towards Yang Tian's neck. Yang Tian raised his leg and kicked one of the silver-toothed wolves in the jaw, sending it flying. Yang Tian was able to withstand his kick and directly shattered the wolf's skull. Facing the vicious fanged wolf that was in the air, Yang Tian struck out with his left fist. With an uppercut, he directly hit its neck and sent it flying. In the blink of an eye, Yang Tian had killed 2 level 1 silver-toothed wolves. At this moment, there was a woo cry that came from dozens of meters away. When such a cry came out, a large number of blackback wolves immediately turned around and ran. When Yang Tian rushed over, he saw a 3-meter-long giant wolf rolling on the ground, using its 2 claws to scratch its head. The little blue dragon was using its claws to scratch the back of the giant wolf's neck, causing it to bleed profusely. Without Yang Tian needing to do anything, the little blue dragon quickly broke the giant wolf's neck. After killing the giant wolf, the little blue dragon jumped onto Yang Tian's shoulder and went into Yang Tian's backpack. In order to not let his teammates discover anything, Yang Tian used his sword to chop off the giant wolf's head and then cut its neck a few more times. 2 minutes later, Xiao Fei and the rest of his teammates rushed over. What a big wolf! Seeing the 3-meter-long giant wolf, Zhao Wu sighed. However, Xiao Fei shook his head. What a pity! This giant wolf will evolve into a level 4 green-toothed wolf soon. Right now, it is only a level 3 green-toothed wolf. After Xiao Fei finished speaking, he cut open the giant wolf's head and found a red beast core. In the night vision goggles, this level 3 beast core was as red as blood. Yang Tian, well done. If you didn't find and kill this wolf pack leader, we might have died here. After Xiao Fei kept the beast core, he turned around and patted Yang Tian's shoulder with a smile. I was just lucky. Yang Tian laughed. At this time, The sky was about to brighten. The wolf pack had already dispersed. They all found a place to sit down and waited quietly. At 6 o'clock, the sky was just starting to brighten. Everyone was busy looking for the silver-toothed wolves' corpses. Yang Tian remembered that he had killed 3 silver-toothed wolves. When he found the corpses of the 3 silver-toothed wolves and cut open their heads, he only found 1 level 1 beast core. In the wolf pack, not all of the wolves were blackback wolves. There were also a few silver-toothed wolves. Xiao Fei found another level 1 beast core. Xiao Fei kept all 3 beast cores. They would discuss how to distribute them when they returned. At 8 o'clock in the morning, everyone ate breakfast and went to the nearby stream to wash up. They washed off the bloodstains on their bodies and changed into clean clothes. The dirty clothes were hung out in places where the sun could reach. Under the August sun, the clothes would dry in less than an hour. Leather armor was not suitable for fighting in the forest because it would reduce the body's flexibility. Therefore, Xiao Fei did not equip the team with leather armor this time. Fortunately, it is not raining. Otherwise, it would be more troublesome to travel in the forest. After Yang Tian finished hanging out the clothes, Zhao Wu said with a smile. Taking advantage of the time to hang out the clothes, the 8 of them took turns to rest. At 11 o'clock in the afternoon, they collected the dry clothes and continued their journey. The journey forward was boring and very dangerous. Things like encountering a wolf pack would happen if they were not careful. One must know that there was more than 1 wolf pack in the forest. After crossing the stream, Xiao Fei led the team forward. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the weather suddenly changed. A strong wind blew and the temperature suddenly dropped. Sigh, I jinxed it, Zhao Wu said with a bitter smile as he looked at the thick clouds in the sky. When it rained, life in the forest was not easy. They could not start a fire, and if they were not careful, they would be drenched in the rain. Although martial artists rarely fell sick, it was uncomfortable to have wet clothes. Taking advantage of the fact that it was not raining yet, everyone started to get busy again. Xiao Fei found a high place and took out a waterproof cloth from his backpack. He tied the 4 corners of the cloth with ropes and tied them to 4 big trees. Then, he cut a tree branch and propped the waterproof cloth up in the middle. This way, the rainwater would not gather in the middle of the cloth. While Xiao Fei was doing this, Yang Tian and the others were not idle. They were looking for dry branches in the surroundings to start fire. Li Xian had already retrieved the arrows he had shot. Together with Lu Jian, they killed a few mutated pheasants and a wild lynx several kilometers away. They took a large amount of fresh meat and marinated it with seasoning to remove the fishy smell before bringing it back. Very quickly, it started to rain. The waterproof cloth was 10 meters long and wide. Yang Tian and the others did not feel crowded under it. It was 3 meters above the ground, so it would not burn even if they started a fire. Very quickly, Yang Tian and the others started a fire. They skewered the fresh meat that Li Xian and Lu Jian had brought back with metal skewers and roasted it over the fire. The rain was getting heavier and heavier, and the sky was getting darker and darker. Yang Tian looked at the auxiliary device and checked the weather forecast. He could not help but smile bitterly. The rain would continue for 3 days. Xiao Fei smiled and said, "Actually, our destination is not far. If we drive there, it will take less than a day. But if we go through the forest, it will take at least a month. The time spent on the road is the most." At this time, Zhao Wu took out a cigarette from his backpack and handed it to Yang Tian. Yang Tian smiled and waved his hand. "I don't smoke. My girlfriend doesn't like the smell of smoke." Everyone laughed when they heard Yang Tian's words. Chapter 33. After hiding from the rain for 3 days, the sky finally cleared up. After packing up their things, the team continued on their journey. 1.5 months later, on the 20th of September, 2115, 8 o'clock in the morning, on the top of a short mountain, Xiao Fei pointed to a valley in front of them and said, "According to the information, the silverback bear is in the valley up ahead." Yang Tian looked in the direction Xiao Fei was pointing and saw 2 tall mountains. In the middle of the 2 mountains was a very deep valley. Yang Tian estimated the distance and estimated that they were about 50 kilometers away from the entrance of the valley. If they traveled at a speed of 20 kilometers per day, they would need at least 2 more days. Let's go. Xiao Fei smiled and turned around to walk down the mountain. Over the past 1.5 months, Yang Tian and the group encountered many low-level ultra beasts. After killing them, they obtained 2 rank 2 beast cores and 3 rank 1 beast cores, adding all the beast cores they obtained earlier. In total, they obtained 1 level 3 beast core, 2 level 2 beast cores, and 5 level 1 beast cores. The price of a level 3 beast core was 10 million martial coins. A level 2 beast core was 3 million martial coins, and a level 1 beast core was about 1 million martial coins. After calculating, Yang Tian and the others had obtained a total of 20 million martial coins this time. If the 8 of them split it equally, each of them would get more than 2 million martial coins. In just 1.5 months, they had obtained more than 2 million martial coins. Even if they went back now, it would not be a wasted trip. During this period of time, Yang Tian had learned a lot of survival techniques in the forest and knew what he needed to prepare. During this process, Yang Tian also realized that it was actually more suitable for him to act alone. With the little blue dragon around, it could warn Yang Tian in advance and prevent Yang Tian from being surrounded by exotic beasts. The little blue dragon could also sense which exotic beasts in the distance had beast cores in their bodies, allowing Yang Tian to have 100% accuracy in hunting. Another thing was that due to the little blue dragon's small size and nimble movements, many high-level exotic beasts were not its match. It could help Yang Tian kill high-level exotic beasts very quickly. To Yang Tian, the forest was a treasure trove. As long as he was willing, he could go deep into the forest and obtain a large amount of beast cores in a short time. Of course, Yang Tian could not sell all the beast cores because he had the Dragon Ball. In order for the Dragon Ball to continuously transform, he had to continuously devour beast cores, a large amount of beast cores. Just like in a long dream, by continuously devouring other exotic beasts, he became stronger. Following the team, Yang Tian could not let the little blue dragon. This was equivalent to Yang Tian's way. However, Yang Tian did not come here for nothing. At least he learned a lot of things. Xiao Fei, the forest, the forest, the forest, the forests, the forest, the forest, the forest, the forest, the forest, the forest. Suddenly, Xiao Fei stopped and looked ahead with furrowed brows. It turned out that there was a pile of ashes a few dozen meters ahead. Everyone quickly walked forward and arrived in front of the pile of ashes. Xiao Fei squatted down and picked up a branch that was not completely burnt. He looked at it and said, "Looks like someone arrived earlier than us." The news of the rank 5 silverback bear being sold on the internet was definitely known by many people. They did not feel surprised, but they were a little anxious in their hearts. Their main goal this time was to hunt the rank 5 silverback bear and obtain the rank 5 beast core in its head. If someone else beat them to it, even if this trip was not in vain, it would be very regrettable. We have to increase our speed. This pile of ashes seems to have been left here last night. Those people are only a day ahead of us. If we increase our speed, we might be able to catch up to them. Xiao Fei stood up and said with gritted teeth. Everyone understood Xiao Fei's meaning. They had to hurry at night, which was an extremely dangerous thing to do. The forest was already filled with danger, especially at night. There would be even more exotic beasts. They might even run into a pack of wolves like before. Xiao Fei turned around and asked his teammates, "Does anyone have any objections?" Everyone shook their heads. "All right, let's hurry through the night and try to arrive before them." Xiao Fei looked at the direction of the valley and said, "Puffed." After descending the mountain, the team increased their speed. Suddenly, a blackback lizard rushed out from the side and pounced at Yang Tian, but it was cut in half by Yang Tian. The team did not stop and continued forward. A few minutes later, a black striped python suddenly slithered out, and its head was cut off by Xiao Fei's dual blades. For the past 1.5 months, as long as they were moving forward, something like this would happen almost every 10 minutes or so. Some of them were exotic beasts that attacked Yang Tian's team. Some of them blocked Yang Tian's path, and were killed by Yang Tian's team. There were a lot of exotic beasts, but high-level ones were extremely rare. Most of them were just ordinary exotic beasts. When noon came, Yang Tian's team only rested for half an hour. They ate some wild fruits and rations before continuing on their journey. Night soon fell. In the forest, it was already the end of September. The temperature was already very low, and the forest was covered in fog. The visibility had decreased, and moving forward had become even more difficult. Bam, bam, bam. Suddenly, gunshots rang out from about 10 kilometers ahead of them, along with the howling of wolves. It was obvious that the people ahead must have run into a pack of wolves. It was the same situation that Yang Tian's team encountered a month ago. The difference was that Yang Tian's team encountered a pack of wolves in the latter half of the night, while the sky had just turned dark. After the gunshots rang out, everyone stopped. Xiao Fei lowered his head and looked at the assistive device on his wrist. He smiled and said, "They ran into a pack of wolves. This is for the best. We can overtake them then. We're lagging behind them. They definitely don't know of our existence. However, we'll have to take a detour." Xiao Fei didn't have the slightest intention of helping those people, because in this dangerous area, other than his teammates from the dojo, no one else could be trusted. Who knew? If you save someone, that person might cut your neck in the next moment. After saying that, Xiao Fei led the team forward. As they moved forward, the gunshots grew louder and louder. The alarmed animals in the forest ahead scurried away, fleeing even further away. About 20 minutes later, the gunshots finally stopped. Only the howling of wolves remained. When Yang Tian heard the howling of wolves, he could feel that the battle ahead was already very intense. More than an hour later, Yang Tian's team was already very close to the group ahead. They could hear people shouting and screaming ahead, as well as the miserable howling of the blackback wolves. Sha sha sha. Suddenly, the sound of dense footsteps could be heard from the front. This wasn't the sound of humans walking, but the sound of wolves fleeing. The fleeing wolves quickly met up with Yang Tian's team. However, when these scattered wolves saw Yang Tian's team, they didn't attack Yang Tian's team at all. Instead, they dodged and passed by Yang Tian's team. Seeing this, Xiao Fei whispered, "Looks like the opponent's team also has an expert. They actually managed to kill the wolves and scatter them. However, after more than an hour of fighting, they'll definitely wait until dawn is set off. Let's ignore them. Let's go." After saying that, Xiao Fei continued to move forward. A gust of wind blew over, and Yang Tian smelled a fishy smell in the air. There was also the smell of burnt fur. At this moment, Zhou Feng said, "These people are really bold. They actually dared to use lightning in the forest. Aren't they afraid of hurting themselves?" A month ago, after the battle with the wolves that night, Yang Tian had also asked the same question. He realized that Xiao Fei actually didn't prepare a large-scale offensive weapon like lightning. Xiao Fei explained that if lightning was used in a dense forest, it would be easily reflected by the trees, and it would instead hurt the people on his side. Furthermore, lightning could easily cause fires, especially in autumn. If the forest was set ablaze, even martial artists could only run for their lives. It must be known that after decades of rapid growth, there were many withered leaves on the ground. A single spark could cause a mountain fire. This was also the lesson that countless martial artists had learned from fighting in the forest in recent decades. Chapter 34. Due to the disturbance caused by the battle ahead, the nearby Ultra Beast had all fled far away. Yang Tian and the others had a much easier time moving forward, and they soon left those people far behind. After traveling for an entire night, Yang Tian and the others were only 4 to 5 miles away from the valley. They would arrive in less than half a day. Ultra Beasts also had their own territories. The higher the level of the Ultra Beast, the bigger their territory. At the entrance of the valley, other than the mutated reptile Ultra Beasts, there were no mammal Ultra Beasts in sight. Even without entering the valley, Yang Tian and the others could feel the aura of the silverback bear in the valley. Perhaps it was a psychological reason. Xiao Fei told his teammates to stop, Then he entered the valley alone to investigate. Previously, when they were standing at high vantage point, they could see that the valley was dozens of kilometers long. On both sides were mountains that were hundreds of meters tall, and the trees in the valley were very dense. Under such conditions, it would take some time to find the silverback bear. Xiao Fei was the strongest, and he was the most suitable person to enter the valley alone to investigate. Taking advantage of this time, Yang Tian and the others found a large rock and began to rest. They opened their backpacks and took out rations to fill their stomachs. After walking for an entire day and night, even a martial artist would feel very tired. So sleepy. Everyone, take turns to watch. Let's all rest for a while. Who knows, there might be a big battle later, Zhou Feng said after looking at her teammates and yawning. Everyone nodded. Yang Tian was the last one to be responsible for watching the surroundings. After everyone agreed, he closed his eyes and began to rest. Roar! Just as Yang Tian closed his eyes and was in a daze, a deafening roar suddenly came from the valley. After hearing this sound, he suddenly opened his eyes. Boom, boom, boom. Next, there was a series of crashing sounds. From where Yang Tian and the others were, they could see that in the valley in front of them, trees were falling down one after another. It was as if there was a heavy bulldozer rapidly moving through the forest. Silverback bear. These two words suddenly appeared in Yang Tian's mind. Everyone, pay attention. The silverback bear is here. Prepare for battle. At this time, Xiao Fei's voice came from Yang Tian's support device. It turned out that Xiao Fei had disturbed the silverback bear and attracted it over. Wang picked up the Gatling gun and checked the bullet belt. Li Xin pulled the bowstring and drew an arrow. Everyone began to check their weapons. About 10 minutes later, a vigorous figure rushed out of the valley. His red hair was extremely conspicuous. This person was naturally Xiao Fei. None of them expected that Xiao Fei would actually find the silverback bear so quickly. Xiao Fei jumped from a large rock at the entrance of the valley and landed in front of Yang Tian and the others. When he saw that his teammates were ready, Xiao Fei bared his teeth and touched his left shoulder. Only then did everyone realize that his left shoulder was injured. Boom, boom, roar. At this time, the silverback bear that rushed out of the valley was getting closer and closer to Yang Tian, and it also let out a howl. Kill it as soon as possible. Those people behind us should have already discovered us. Xiao Fei took a few deep breaths and said while gritting his teeth. As the silverback bear got closer and closer, Yang Tian felt that the ground began to shake. He didn't need to guess to know that it was definitely a big guy. Its body probably weighed several tons. Otherwise, it wouldn't make such a big noise. Pong! Suddenly, a big tree at the entrance of the valley was knocked down. A huge black shadow appeared in front of Yang Tian and the others. This was a huge black bear. When it stood up, it was estimated to be at least 5 meters tall. It was like a small mountain. On its back, starting from its neck to its tail, there was a silver-white hairband. This was the origin of its name. Bang, 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 bang. As soon as the silverback bear appeared, Wang opened fire. The Gatling gun in his hand spewed out flames and poured a dense amount of bullets at the bear. Puff, puff, puff. The bullets hit the silverback bear's body, causing blood to splatter everywhere. If it was a normal ultra beast, it would have already been blown to pieces by this kind of gun. But the silverback bear's fur was very thick. Even if the Gatling gun's bullets were specially made, they could only hurt its fur. The bullets couldn't penetrate its body and cause any real damage. Roar! The silverback bear was enraged. It stood up and roared into the sky. Whoosh! At this time, Li Xin shot an arrow at the silverback bear. His target was the silverback bear's eyes. But the silverback bear's reaction was very fast. Before the arrow could reach its eyes, it raised its paw and swatted the arrow away. After swatting away the arrow, the silverback bear crouched and jumped, charging at Wang. Seeing that his gun couldn't hurt this big guy, Wang quickly stopped and retreated. Everyone be careful. Try to hurt it with guerrilla tactics. It's best if you hit its vitals. Xiao Fei yelled and rushed at the silverback bear. Pong! Xiao Fei kicked off a rock and jumped up high. He used the two swords in his hands to chop at the silverback bear's head. The silverback bear raised its paw and slapped at Xiao Fei. Xiao Fei made his move, but Yang Tian and the others didn't stop. Yang Tian kicked off the ground and rushed over with his swords. Lu Jian threw the scimitar in his hand, and the scimitar quickly spun and attacked the silverback bear's neck. Li Xian was the most sinister. He shot an arrow at the silverback bear's balls, which should be the weakest part of the bear. Zhou Feng and Lu Xiao rushed at the silverback bear from the left and right. Peng! Xiao Fei, who was in the air, was hit by the bear's paw and flew to the side. With a pu sound, Li Xian's arrow pierced into the bear's balls. At the same time, Yang Tian stabbed his sword into the bear's belly, all the way to the hilt. Just as he was about to twist the sword in his hand, there was a sound of wind above his head. He quickly pulled out his sword, kicked on the bear's belly, and jumped far away. Peng! Just at this time, the silverback bear's paw landed on the rock under its feet, and the black rock was shattered into pieces. At this time, Zhou Feng and Lu Xiao also succeeded. The weapons in their hands pierced deeply into the silverback bear's waist, and they bounced off before the bear could react. Lu Jian's scimitar was also deeply embedded in the bear's neck, and a large amount of blood flowed out from the wound. Roar! The silverback bear roared painfully, and its eyes became red with anger. Just now, Yang Tian and the others' attacks on the silverback bear did not seem to have caused any fatal damage to it. But at this moment, Yang Tian knew that although the big guy in front of them had thick skin and strong strength, its movements were clumsy compared to them. As long as they kept attacking it, they would be able to kill it soon. At this time, Xiao Fei, who was hit by the silverback bear, jumped up, wiped the blood from his mouth, and shouted, "Don't stop. Continue to attack it while it's injured." Xiao Fei's voice was a bit hoarse. It seemed that he had suffered internal injuries. The silverback bear's attack was not light. Whoosh! At this time, Li Xian once again shot an arrow at the silverback bear's eyes. Bang, 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 bang. Wang Guang held the Gatling gun and shot at the silverback bear again. The silverback bear glanced around and rushed toward Wang Guang. It must have thought that Wang Guang was the most hateful guy, and it hurt all over its body. Wang Guang's speed was not fast. When he saw the silverback bear rushing toward him, he dropped the Gatling gun and turned to run. Zhao Wu, who had not made a move, had climbed up a big tree. When the silverback bear passed under the tree, he suddenly jumped on the back of the silverback bear and stabbed the two short knives in his hand into the bear's neck. The silverback bear stood up angrily, but Zhao Wu held the two short knives and hung them on the back of the silverback bear. The silverback bear's paws could not reach its back, so it slammed its back against the side of the mountain. If Zhao Wu did not leave, he would definitely be hit by the silverback bear and become a meat pie. Zhao Wu's reaction was very fast. He knew the purpose of the blackback bear. He let go of his hands and fell to the ground. He drilled out from under the silverback bear's legs. He kicked the ground and rushed out of the silverback bear's attack range. Boom! Silverback energy hit the cliff and made a loud noise. The ground trembled because of the impact. Xiao Fei rushed toward the silverback bear again, jumped on its head, and stabbed the silverback bear's eyes with the two knives in his hand. The silverback bear just shook its head and threw Xiao Fei away. At this time, Yang Tian also rushed to the belly of the silverback bear, handed out the tang knife in his hand, stabbed the silverback bear's belly again, and pulled out the knife and left. Chapter 35. Just as the battle between Yang Tian and the silverback bear was at its most intense, a person suddenly rushed over and landed on a protruding mountain rock. Seeing this person, Yang Tian frowned. This person was Zhou Dedeo, whom he had seen before. Zhou Dedeo carried a large sword on his back and looked at the battle coldly. Xiao Fei only glanced at Zhou Dedeo and once again rushed toward the silverback bear. Just like that, the wounds on the silverback bear were getting more and more. The blood that flowed out covered an area of more than 1,000 square meters. Boom! Half an hour later, the silverback bear finally let out a hoarse cry and fell to the ground. Its angry eyes gradually closed. At this time, Joe Dideo finally moved. He pulled out the large sword on his back and rushed toward the silverback bear. Poof! Joe Dideo was very fast. He raised his sword and slashed at the silverback bear's head, directly opening a hole in the silverback bear's head. Stop! At this moment, Xiao Fei roared and rushed over. Obviously, Joe Dideo wanted to steal the level 5 beast core. Yang Tian hated people like this the most, so he also rushed over with his sword. Crack! Dideo Zhou once again slashed with his saber, and the crisp sound of bones breaking rang out. The bear's head was actually split open by his 2 slashes. He used his saber to poke inside, and a mass of red, viscous brain matter was picked out. There was also a light blue beast core inside. Xiao Fei was the first to rush in front of Zhou Dideo. He reached out his hand to grab the mass of brain matter, but Zhou Dideo raised his hand and pushed Xiao Fei's hand away. With a poof, the mass of red brain matter fell to the ground. The light blue level 5 beast core bounced on the ground and rolled to the side. Yang Tian had already rushed over. He crouched down and grabbed the level 5 beast core in his hand. Phew! Xiao Fei dodged to the side and let out a sigh of relief. In this hunt, he had finally gotten a level 5 beast core. Once he reached the peak of level 4, he wouldn't have to worry about leveling up anymore. I advise you to hand over the beast cores. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to return alive. Zhou Dideo looked at Xiao Fei and said indifferently. Xiao Fei curled his lips. Don't think that you're my match just because you've become a level 4 warrior. My brothers aren't pushovers either. Zhou Dideo glanced at Yang Tian and the others. His gaze lingered on Yang Tian for a few seconds before he turned his head and looked at Xiao Fei. He smiled and said, I couldn't beat you before, but it's different now. You've already suffered internal injuries. Do you think I can't tell? Hearing Zhou Dideo's words, Xiao Fei frowned. What Zhou Dideo said was right. He had suffered a serious internal injury and needed some time to recover. If he fought with Zhou Dideo now, he would be injured even more. Even if he won, his body would be injured, which would have a great impact on his future cultivation. We have so many people, and you are alone. I don't believe that we can't kill you with so many people. Li Xian drew his bow and aimed the arrow at Zhou Dideo as he sneered. Zhou Dideo smiled disdainfully. You want to win with numbers? I'm afraid we can't let you do as you wish. In terms of numbers, we have more people. After Zhou Dideo finished speaking, he waved his hand. At this time, more than 10 people came out from the surrounding woods and surrounded Yang Tian and the others. Yang Tian raised his head and glanced at them. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed because he saw Sun Yu. Sun Yu was holding a silver-white pistol in his left hand and wearing a leather glove on his right hand. He looked very bloated. Sun Yu naturally saw Yang Tian. When Yang Tian looked at him, he sneered. Yang Tian counted. Including Zhou Dideo, there were 16 people, which was exactly double the number of people in their team. These people were all from Shunwei Martial Hall. If they were in the city or in the alert area outside the city, they would all maintain a restrained state and not offend each other. However, this was a dangerous area. There were no rules at all. Whoever was stronger had the right to speak. People below, listen up. Hand over the level 5 beast core, and we will let you go. Otherwise, you will die. At this time, a young man shouted at Yang Tian and the others. Humph! Hand over the beast core? Don't even think about it. Xiao Fei coldly said. As soon as Xiao Fei's voice fell, 3 people from Shunwei Martial Hall with Gatling guns pointed their muzzles at Yang Tian and the others. Sun Yu directly pointed his muzzle at Yang Tian. There were 2 other people with bows and arrows. They also aimed at Zhou Feng and Lu Xiao. In this kind of situation, they would not give in. It seemed that a battle was inevitable. Yang Tian held the level 5 beast core in his hand and looked at Sun Yu. He found that Sun Yu and another black-clothed young man were the furthest away from Shunwei Martial Hall. In an instant, an idea emerged in his mind. He thought that if he rushed out with the beast core, the people from Shunwei Martial Hall would naturally catch up. This would reduce the pressure on his companions, and they would be able to break out of the encirclement. I will count to 10. If you don't hand over the beast core, we will attack. 1, 2, 3. When a number of people from Shanwei Martial Hall reached 3, Yang Tian suddenly rushed towards Sun Yu. Bang! When Sun Yu saw Yang Tian rushing towards him, he immediately pulled the trigger. However, his shot did not hit Yang Tian. Yang Tian's speed had increased by a lot. When he moved forward, he moved like a snake. It was very difficult for the people with guns to lock onto him. Bang, bang, bang. Sun Yu quickly fired, but Yang Tian dodged every shot. In less than 3 seconds, Yang Tian rushed in front of Sun Yu. At this time, the black-clothed young man beside Sun Yu suddenly rushed towards Yang Tian. Third young master, you can't. He is a second-level warrior. Seeing the black-clothed young man rushing towards Yang Tian, Sun Yu was shocked and shouted loudly. Sun Yu's reminder was too late. Before his voice fell, he heard a poof sound. Yang Tian and the black-clothed young man had passed each other. Yang Tian did not stop and rushed into the dense forest behind Sun Yu. The black-clothed young man's eyes were wide open and he stood still. Suddenly, a bloodline appeared on his neck and a large amount of blood flowed out. Ugh! The black-clothed young man groaned unwillingly and fell to the ground with his eyes wide open. He died with grievances. At this time, the other people from Shanwei Martial Hall reacted. At this time, not only Sun Yu, even the strongest person in Shanwei Martial Hall, Zhou Dedeo, could not help but stare with his eyes wide open. This third young master. Sun Yu dropped his gun and helped the black-clothed young man who fell to the ground. He shouted with a horrified face. Zhou Dedeo reacted at this time and shouted, "That man killed the Hall Master's son. Chase after him. If he is alive, I want to see him. If he is dead, I want to see his corpse." Yes, the people of Shanwei Martial Hall responded and chased after Yang Tian. Yang Tian did not know that he had caused trouble. The person he casually killed was actually the third son of Shanwei Martial Hall's Hall Master, Du Xiongwu, Du Feng. At this time, Zhou Dedeo did not care about Xiao Fei and the others. He raised his knife and chased after Du Feng. In a moment, the people of Shanwei Martial Hall, except for Sun Yu, all chased after Yang Tian. Xiao Fei walked towards Sun Yu and asked with a frown, "Who is this man?" Although he heard the angry roars of the people of Shanwei Martial Hall and knew some information, Xiao Fei still wanted to confirm it. Sun Yu raised his head in horror and looked at Xiao Fei. "He is our Hall Master's son, Du Feng. Your Tianwei Martial Hall is in big trouble this time." Hearing Sun Yu's words, Xiao Fei also felt that the matter was a little serious. If he killed an ordinary martial artist of Shanwei Martial Hall, even if he killed Zhou Dedeo, Shanwei Martial Hall would not say anything even if they knew. This was because this kind of thing was very common in the danger zone. If they really wanted to investigate, it would be a matter of wrangling for a long time. But the Hall Master's son was different. Xiao Fei could imagine how angry Du Xiongwu would be when he heard the news. Even if he had to pay any price, he would make Tianwei Martial Hall hand over the murderer. Although Tianwei Martial Hall was one of the top 3 martial halls in Tianxiong City, it could not be compared to Shanwei Martial Hall. This was not only because of the number of martial artists, but also because Shanwei Martial Hall had twice as many high-level martial artists as Tianwei Martial Hall. Du Xiongwu and his younger brother, Du Xiongwen, were both level 8 martial artists. Although Shui Yun, the Hall Master of Tianwei Martial Hall, was also a level 8 martial artist, it was impossible for him to deal with 2 level 8 martial artists at the same time. More importantly, Shanwei Martial Hall was the orthodox martial hall in Tianxiong City. It had the closest relationship with Tianxiong City's management committee. If Du Xiongwu persuaded the management committee to set restrictions on Tianwei Martial Hall, it would not be long before Tianwei Martial Hall declined. Chapter 36. Xiao Fei thought of the seriousness of the situation and was worried for Yang Tian. He understood that their dojo master would not be able to withstand the pressure and would definitely give in to the Shanwei Martial Arts Hall and expel Yang Tian from the Martial Arts Hall. Then, they would cooperate with the Shanwei Martial Arts Hall to issue a martial artist order against Yang Tian. "Why is your dojo master's son with you?" Xiao Fei looked at Sun Yu and asked coldly. When Xiao Fei asked this question, Sun Yu suddenly burst into tears. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. It's all my fault for letting Du Feng follow me out. I told him that the outside world is fun. Now it's all over. The dojo master will definitely kill me. Zhao Wu frowned and gritted his teeth. You son of a bitch. It's all your fault. If it wasn't for you, Yang Tian wouldn't have caused such a disaster. Now, Yang Tian is in big trouble. You can't run away either. When Sun Wu scolded him, Sun Yu suddenly opened his eyes wide and looked at Zhao Wu. His eyes gradually became blank. At this time, Li Xian sneered. If I were you, I would kill myself right now. Maybe your teammates would keep it a secret for you, so that your family wouldn't be implicated. After Li Xian finished speaking, Sun Yu nodded and picked up the silver handgun that he just threw away and pointed it at his own head. No, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Suddenly, Sun Yu woke up. He pointed his gun at Xiao Fei and yelled crazily. PFFF. At this time, Lu Jian threw out the scimitar in his hand and chopped off Sun Yu's head. He lightly said, You can't even die a happy death. What a coward. Xiao Fei did not care about Sun Yu's corpse. He frowned and looked at his teammates. What we do now? Yang Tian's actions just now were most likely to lure the Shenwei martial arts hall away so that we can escape. I didn't expect that he would cause such a disaster. We are all in the same team. We have to face difficulties together. How can we help Yang Tian? When Yang Tian asked this question, everyone fell silent. They were all low-level martial artists. How could they help? A moment later, Li Xian said, While the Shenwei Martial Arts Hall hasn't reacted yet, we should inform the trustworthy brothers in the Martial Arts Hall to hide Yang Tian's family. That old bastard Du Xiongwu is very vicious. He might use Yang Tian's relatives to threaten Yang Tian. Xiao Fei immediately nodded and contacted Zhou Hao through the warrior support device. Xiao Fei was very clear about the relationship between Zhou Hao and Yang Tian. Brother Xiao. After the call connected, Zhou Hao's voice came from Xiao Fei's support device. Xiao Fei said, Zhou Hao, I need you to do something right now. As soon as possible. Yang Tian has caused trouble. He killed the son of the Shenwei Martial Arts Hall's master, Du Xiongwu. Hide Yang Tian's family. Don't let the Shenwei Martial Arts Hall find them. Zhou Hao said, Brother Xiao, there's no other way in the city. Unless we send Yang Tian's parents out of the city. Xiao Fei thought for a moment and immediately understood Zhou Hao's meaning. However, sending them out of the city wasn't appropriate. Although there were crooks mixed in with the honest folk outside the city, what if an accident happened? Other than the city, is there any other place? Xiao Fei asked again. Zhou Hao thought for a few seconds and replied, I have an idea. We can send them to Yang Tian's girlfriend, Qin Fei's house. I heard from Yang Tian that Qin Fei's grandfather is a high-level martial artist. Can this be done? Xiao Fei asked worriedly. No problem, Zhou Hao said. This is the best way. Xiao Fei said, Then do it immediately. Understood. After Zhou Hao finished speaking, he ended the call. Xiao Fei let out a long breath and said, A martial artist's auxiliary tool has a positioning function. We have to inform Yang Tian and tell him to throw away the auxiliary tool. However, if he does that, he will most likely get lost in the danger zone. Li Xian said, If he gets lost, he might survive. However, if the Shenwei Martial Art Hall finds him, he will definitely die. Xiao Fei nodded and immediately sent a message to Yang Tian. The reason why he sent the message was because Xiao Fei knew that Yang Tian was being chased by Zhou Dedeo and the others. He didn't have a chance to talk to him. After Xiao Fei sent the message, he thought for a moment and sent another message to Yang Tian. He told him that he could keep the rank 5 Beast Core for his own use. Yang Tian didn't know what was going on. He carried his blade and ran, leaving the people chasing him far behind. Yang Tian didn't bring his backpack. However, he knew that the little blue dragon in his backpack would be able to sense his position and chase after him. In terms of realm, Yang Tian could only be considered a rank 3 martial artist. Zhou Dedeo, who was chasing him, was a rank 4 martial artist. In terms of speed, he was much faster than Yang Tian. There were a few times when he almost caught up with Yang Tian. However, Yang Tian had the Dragon Ball in his body. It could continuously provide energy to his legs, allowing him to maintain his speed. As for Jotadeo, he had to stop and rest after a certain distance. Under these circumstances, Jotadeo was unable to catch up with Yang Tian. Huff, huff, huff. Unknowingly, Jotadeo had been chasing Yang Tian for more than 3 hours. He was panting heavily. He didn't understand how Yang Tian, whose realm was lower than his, could keep running and leaving him, a rank 4 martial artist, behind. Just like that, they kept running and chasing until the sky turned dark. Then it finally ended. The reason why Jotadeo was able to keep up with Yang Tian was that when Yang Tian was running, he would always alarm the surrounding exotic beasts. From time to time, he would have to stop and kill the exotic beasts. Naturally, he would be discovered by Jotadeo, who had rich experience in surviving in the wild. Now it was dark. Even if it was dark, Yang Tian kept running for a long distance before stopping. Zhi. When Yang Tian was resting against a big tree, the little blue dragon suddenly appeared. It jumped onto Yang Tian's shoulder and let out an excited cry. Seeing the little blue dragon appear, Yang Tian laughed. He grabbed the little guy and patted its head. He said, "I thought you wouldn't follow. I was so worried." Zhi, the little blue dragon, made a sound of protest before Yang Tian put it down. "I don't know what time it is." Yang Tian raised his wrist and looked at the time. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening. After seeing the time, Yang Tian found 3 text messages. He immediately opened the 3 text messages. One of them was Xiao Fei reminding Yang Tian that he had killed Du Feng, the son of Shunwei Dojo's dojo master, Du Xiongwu, and had gotten himself into big trouble. While all the dojos had yet to issue a fighter's arrest order to him, it would be best for him to throw away his auxiliary equipment to avoid being followed. When he saw this message, Yang Tian thought of the black-clothed young man from before. He thought that the fellow was just an ordinary martial artist from Shunwei Dojo, so he casually killed him. Yang Tian hated people who snatched the fruits of victory from others the most. But he didn't expect that this seemingly ordinary black-clothed young man was actually the son of Shunwei Martial Arts Hall's master. There was no need for others to remind him. Yang Tian knew that he was in big trouble. The second text message was Xiao Fei telling him that he could keep the level 5 beast cores for his own use, and that he didn't need to worry about them. The third text message was Xiao Fei telling Yang Tian that Yang Tian's parents had already been picked up by Zhou Hao and sent to Qin Fei's grandfather. He didn't need to worry about the safety of his parents. He just needed to take care of himself and get through this calamity of his life. After reading the text message, Yang Tian let out a long breath and looked up at the sky. Through the gaps in the leaves, he could see the bright stars hanging in the sky. The night was very beautiful, but Yang Tian's mood was very bad. He didn't expect that he would be so unlucky. Xiaolong, we will have to live a hard life in the future. But with you by my side, I believe that I will definitely get through this. Yang Tian thought for a while, smiled, and said to the little blue dragon, "Ji." The little blue dragon let out a cry, telling Yang Tian that it didn't need to be afraid of anything. Yang Tian nodded. Since the auxiliary tool couldn't be used, Yang Tian didn't plan to use it anymore. He took it off his wrist and threw it aside. Then he stood up and said to the little blue dragon, "Let's go. One day, I will be strong enough to make everyone fear me." After Yang Tian finished speaking, he took advantage of the bright stars and walked forward. Taking advantage of the night, he wanted to leave this place so that the people of Shunwei Martial Arts Hall couldn't find him. Walking in the dense forest at night without night vision goggles was not an easy task. Fortunately, with the guidance of the little blue dragon, Yang Tian avoided many dangerous places. Yang Tian walked until midnight before he stopped. He found a big tree and climbed up, lying on the branch to rest. After running all the way, Yang Tian was also very tired and quickly fell asleep. Chapter 37. After resting for 3 hours, Yang Tian set off. Because he lost his backpack, Yang Tian found that other than the YT elemental alloy tang sword in his hand, he only had 2 daggers. There was also a lighter in his trouser pocket. In order to prevent the people from Shunwei Martial Arts Hall from finding him, he even lost his assistive device. This was a vast forest. Without his assistive device, it was easy to get lost. Also, he could not contact Qin Fei. Yang Tian did not know how long this situation would last, but he knew that this was not something he could easily solve. Then, he had to be prepared for a long battle. He just had to keep leveling up and increase his strength to the point where everyone would be afraid of him. At that time, no one would dare to find trouble with him. Looking at the red sun that was about to rise in the sky, Yang Tian narrowed his eyes slightly. He clenched his fists, determined the direction, and headed towards the depths of the danger zone. A teacup was fiercely thrown to the ground and shattered into pieces. Who did this? Du Xiongwu looked at one of his subordinates and asked coldly. The warrior who was stared at by Du Xiongwu did not even dare to breathe loudly. He slightly lowered his head and replied, "A guy named Yang Tian from Tianwei Martial Arts Hall. How dare he kill Feng? I must make this person pay the price. Immediately send someone to capture this person. I want him alive." Du Xiongwu's face was cold as he gritted his teeth. Hall Master, Tianwei Martial Arts Hall has already expelled this person from the Martial Arts Hall. They took the initiative to issue a warrior arrest warrant to Yang Tian. The warrant says that regardless of whether he is dead or alive, he will be rewarded with 100 million martial coins. Du Xiongwu's subordinate did not immediately leave and said again. Du Xiongwu sneered. Shui Yin, this old thing, reacted really quickly. He has cleanly removed his responsibility. Also, Du Xiongwu finished speaking and his subordinate continued. Yang Tian, who killed young master, has already escaped to the depths of the danger zone. This person is very cunning. He even abandoned his martial arts auxiliary device, making it impossible for us to use the auxiliary device to locate him. Du Xiongwu calmed down and asked with a frown, "What level is Yang Tian at?" From Jodadeo's information, this person should be a level 3 martial artist. Dojo Master, it's worth mentioning that half a year ago, Yang Tian was still a powerless high school student. In less than half a year, he became a 3rd-level martial artist. This speed of advancement is really terrifying. Who helped him? Du Xiongwu asked. The subordinate replied, "According to our investigation, Yang Tian has a grandfather who passed away, named Yang Song. We estimate that after Yang Tian graduated from high school, he must have found the Beast Corps left behind by Yang Song to become an enhancer, and then joined the Tianwei Martial Arts School." After the subordinate finished talking about Yang Tian's information, Du Xiongwu sneered. "So he is not alone. He has parents?" Oomph. The subordinate understood Du Xiongwu's meaning, which was to use Yang Tian's parents to threaten Yang Tian. This kind of thing ordinary martial artists could not do. After the subordinate heard Du Xiongwu's words, he could not help but be stunned and said, "Yang Tian's parents have already received the news and were sent to Qin Lao. Qin Lao's granddaughter Qin Fei is Yang Tian's girlfriend. I heard that Qin Lao likes Yang Tian." Qin Jingyang? That old man. When Du Xiongwu mentioned Qin Jingyang, he frowned. Du Xiongwu thought for a while and said, "Let Feng to go and bring that Yang Tian back." Yes. The subordinate did not say anything this time. He nodded in response and turned to leave. In the living room, Du Xiongwu touched his forehead. As a father, losing a son, whether it was a commoner or an overlord, would be sad. After a while, a beautiful woman cried into the living room and complained to Du Xiongwu for a long time. Du Xiongwu had no choice but to leave the villa and go to Qin Lao. In the villa where Qin Lao lived. "Uncle Qin, will Tiana really be okay?" Seeing Qin Jingyang leisurely walking around the courtyard with a teacup in his hand, Yang Lin and Wang Hong, who hadn't slept the entire night, came up to Qin Jingyang. After hesitating for a moment, Yang Lin asked worriedly. This was the 3rd time Yang Lin asked, but Qin Jingyang still answered patiently. "Don't worry. I have high hopes for Yang Tian. If a jade is not cut, it won't be useful. Du Xiongwu is that jade carving knife. As long as Yang Tian can get through this, his future achievements will be limitless. Yang Lin still did not understand Qin Jingyang's words, but the couple did not ask too much. They did not say anything, but the worry and fatigue on their faces could not be concealed. Qin Jingyang turned around and was about to comfort them when the middle-aged housekeeper walked in and whispered something in Qin Jingyang's ear. Qin Jingyang's face was expressionless as he said to Yang Lin and Wang Hong, "Go upstairs and rest. I have to meet a guest. It's inconvenient for you to stay here." Yang Lin and Wang Hong nodded immediately and returned to the villa. A few minutes after the middle-aged housekeeper left, a tall middle-aged man came in front of Qin Jingyang. "Master Du, how come you have the time to come to this old man's place?" Qin Jingyang smiled as he looked at the middle-aged man. This middle-aged man was Du Xiongwu. "Qin Lao, I hope you can hand Yang Tian's parents over to me. You are also a founding member of Shunwei Martial Arts Hall. You should understand that this matter is not only a personal grudge of Du Xiongwu, but also very important to the reputation of Shunwei Martial Arts Hall." Looking at Qin Jingyang's smiling face, Du Xiongwu said lightly. However, Qin Jingyang said, "If there is a grudge between martial artists, it will not affect the family. This is a rule that has been set long ago. Could it be that Master Du wants to break this rule? Just because you're the master of Shunwei Martial Arts Hall, you can break this rule at will?" "Humph." Du Xiongwu snorted coldly and said, "Qin Lao, if someone kills your granddaughter, what will you do?" When Qin Lao heard Du Xiongwu's words, he frowned and said lightly, "Then I will take that person's head back." Du Xiongwu laughed. "Qin Lao, you should understand my feelings now. No matter what means I use, I will make Yang Tian pay the price." Qin Jingyang shook his head. He knew that Du Xiongwu did not understand his meaning at all. However, he did not intend to dawdle with Du Xiongwu anymore. He said lightly, "You want to take her away from me? Don't even think about it." Seeing Qin Jingyang's firm attitude, Du Xiongwu gritted his teeth and said, "Then I will order you as the master of the hall. If you don't listen to my orders, I have the right to expel you from Shunwei Martial Arts Hall." When Qin Jingyang heard this, he laughed and said, "Then do as you wish. It doesn't matter whether I am a member of Shunwei Martial Arts Hall or not." Du Xiongwu looked at Qin Jingyang and narrowed his eyes. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and he clenched his fists. Looking at Du Xiongwu's appearance, it seemed that he was going to fight with Qin Jingyang. However, after a moment, Du Xiongwu loosened his fists and snorted coldly. He turned around and left quickly. After walking out of the Qin family's villa, Du Xiongwu got into the car. Looking at Du Xiongwu's unhappy face, the beautiful woman next to him asked, "Did that old man agree?" Du Xiongwu shook his head. This old man is also a member of Shunwei Martial Arts Hall. How dare he not listen to the master's orders? "You should kill him," the beautiful woman said coldly. This beautiful woman still had traces of tears on her face. She was Du Feng's mother, Zhu Shaoqing. More than 20 years ago, Zhu Shaoqing was a famous beauty. In the end, she was married to Du Xiongwu. After that, she gave birth to 3 sons and a daughter for Du Xiongwu. After hearing Zhu Shaoqing's words, Du Xiongwu said helplessly, "Even if I'm a level 8 martial artist and Qin Jingyang is a level 7 martial artist, on the surface, he is no match for me. However, this old man has a very powerful red-feathered eagle with him. With the cooperation of a man and a beast, I am no match for him." After Du Xiongwu finished speaking, Zhu Shaoqing started crying again. "Drive!" When Zhu Shaoqing started crying, Du Xiongwu became annoyed and shouted coldly. The driver was so scared that his body trembled, and he immediately started the car. With Qin Lao's protection, Du Xiongwu couldn't touch Yang Tian's parents. However, he could send people to kill Yang Tian. De Feng, who Du Xiongwu mentioned, was a level 5 martial artist in Shunwei Martial Arts Hall. This person was trained by Du Xiongwu and was loyal to Du Xiongwu. After receiving Du Xiongwu's order, De Feng immediately packed his equipment and set off with more than 20 martial artists. Chapter 38. At the entrance of Shunwei Martial Arts Hall, 7 modified SUVs drove out in a row. The 7 SUVs sped forward and soon exited the city gate. More than 20 days later, on October 15th, 2115, Fonda led 25 martial artists and met up with Zhou Dedeo's group. In the past 20 days or so, Zhou Dedeo and 14 others had been tracking Yang Tian. Occasionally, they would find some traces left behind by Yang Tian, such as the dead exotic beasts or the bonfire left behind by him. When they went deep into the danger zone, even Zhou Dedeo had to stop because there were more and more high-level exotic beasts in the center of the danger zone. They even lost a few people because of this. He didn't dare to continue chasing and had to return with his people. As for Xiao Fei and the rest, after notifying Yang Tian, the 7 of them immediately returned. They were probably about to leave the forest and return to Tianxiong City. Among the 25 people led by Fonda, there were 4 level 5 martial artists, 10 level 3 martial artists, and the rest were level 2 martial artists. Other than Zhou Dedeo, who stayed behind to lead the way, the dozen people led by Zhou Dedeo finally breathed a sigh of relief because it was none of their business. They could finally go back. Brother Feng, now we can be sure that Yang Tian didn't really go deep into the center of the danger zone. He has been leading us in circles in the forest. At the foot of a small mountain, Zhou Dedeo took out a map and pointed to the markings on the map. He explained Yang Tian's route to Fonda, who had just arrived. With the martial artist's auxiliary tool, the markings on the map were very clear. On the map, there was an area with a diameter of 300 kilometers. This area was a forbidden zone for martial artists. Even level 7 martial artists didn't dare to go deep. On the map marked by Zhou Dedeo, there was a large circle. This circle was the route Yang Tian took for more than 20 days. Looking at the large circle on the map, Fonda's expression was a little dignified. He asked Zhou Dedeo, "Didn't you say he threw away the auxiliary tool? How can he still have such a strong sense of direction?" Zhou Dedeo was also very puzzled about this and shook his head. Fonda looked at the surrounding mountains and dense woods, then glanced at his men and said, "If we move together, we'll cause too much of a commotion. It's very likely that they'll discover us right away. So, let's split into 5 small teams of 5 and spread out. During the search, if one of the teams finds Yang Tian, stall him and immediately contact the other teams." "Yes." After Fonda finished speaking, everyone responded in unison. Including Fonda and Zhou Dedeo, there were a total of 27 people. Including Zhou Dedeo, there were exactly 5 level 4 and level 5 players. Each of them could lead a team. As for Fonda, he only brought a level 2 martial artist as a follower and searched for Yang Tian alone. Big Feng assigned the teams very quickly. Waving his hand, he said, "Set off. You must find Yang Tian within a week, dead or alive." Du Xiongwu's order was to capture Yang Tian alive, but in this situation, it was a very difficult thing to do. In order to not let his teammates take risks, Fonda gave the order regardless of whether he was dead or alive. This was exactly what it meant when a general was outside and military orders were not obeyed. Fonda's weapon was a chain knife. Around his waist was a circle of silver-white chains. Originally, he didn't have a very strong physique and looked very bloated. However, his movements were very agile. After giving the order, he brought his level 2 martial artist into the forest and quickly disappeared. After Fonda left, the 5 team leaders followed the plan of encirclement and capture Yang Tian from 2 directions. At this moment, Yang Tian wasn't moving around the periphery of the danger zone, as Zhou Dedeo had expected. Instead, he was moving directly into the depths of the danger zone. With the little blue dragon, Yang Tian wouldn't get lost in the dense jungle. In the past 20 days, with the help of the little blue dragon, Yang Tian's harvest was huge. Now, in his trouser pocket, there were 5 level 1 beast cores, 3 level 2 beast cores, and 1 level 5 beast core. If Zhou Dedeo hadn't brought people to follow behind him and let him be on guard at all times, Yang Tian's harvest would have been even more. After constantly fighting with exotic beasts, Yang Tian's combat skills had improved rapidly. Now, he had practiced the lightning blade technique and the collapsing thunder fist technique to an extremely proficient level. His current strength was already at the peak of level 3 martial artist. Someone was coming. Yang Tian had already expected it. Moreover, he had a hunch that Shunwei Martial Arts Hall would definitely send a martial artist stronger than Zhou Dedeo to kill him. This was for sure. The reason why Yang Tian was heading toward the danger zone now was because he guessed that someone was coming. Because Zhou Dedeo's group, who had been chasing him for a long time, suddenly retreated. If Zhou Dedeo wasn't tired, then someone was coming. Zhou Dedeo needed to meet up with the other party. The deeper he went into the danger zone, the more high-level exotic beasts there were. This was exactly what Yang Tian wanted. Only by constantly hunting more high-level exotic beasts could his strength improve faster. A week passed quickly. The 5 teams met up with Fengde in the jungle. They searched for an entire week within a range of 250 kilometers to 320 kilometers away from the danger zone, but they did not find any traces of Yang Tian. They only found an extinguished bonfire left behind by Yang Tian a few days ago, and there were many beast bones beside the bonfire. It seems that he has already expected us to come and went deeper into the danger zone. Fengde thought for a while, glanced at his men, and frowned. What do we do now? Zhou Dedeo also frowned. He felt that Yang Tian was even more cunning. Fengde thought for a while. You 5 teams continue to patrol the periphery. I will chase after him alone. I don't want to believe that a level 3 martial artist can escape from my blade. After saying that, Fengde smiled coldly. This was the best way at the moment. If everyone went deep into the danger zone, they might not be able to find Yang Tian. On the contrary, he would lose a lot of men. After Fengde arranged his men, he went to chase after Yang Tian alone. At the periphery, more than 20 people were also divided into 5 teams. They were in a state of patrol and were ready to move out at any time. Fengde was alone, so his movements were much faster. His figure was moving through the jungle. Based on his intuition, he headed towards the danger zone. Pooh! Yang Tian quickly slashed and killed a level 1 green python. He cut open its head and used the tip of his blade to pick out a level 1 beast core. Gigi! The little blue dragon jumped up from Yang Tian's shoulder. It opened its mouth and grabbed a beast core in the air, swallowing it directly. Under the guidance of the little blue dragon, Yang Tian would never miss a beat. He would always be able to find beast cores from the corpses of high-level exotic beasts. In the past 20 days, the little blue dragon had also swallowed a lot of beast cores. Its body looked much fatter than before. It looked like a fat dragon now. However, what made Yang Tian feel strange was that this little guy didn't grow up at all. After such a long time, other than being a little fatter, its length was still the same as before. However, when he thought about the mystical nature of dragons, Yang Tian guessed that this guy must be able to change its size. If necessary, it could become very big. When it was small, it might even be smaller than it was now. Just like in that long dream. The dragon that Yang Tian transformed into could also change its size. After the little blue dragon swallowed the beast core, it turned around and jumped onto Yang Tian's shoulder. It curled up its body and closed its eyes. Seeing the little blue dragon's appearance, Yang Tian knew that there weren't any high-level exotic beasts around. He found a big tree and sat under it to rest. After losing his equipment, Yang Tian's life had been very tough during this period of time. He didn't even have a change of clothes. He could only find a stream to take a bath when the sun came out, wash his clothes, and dry them. If he didn't see the sun for a long time, his body would be dirty beyond recognition. It was very uncomfortable. After resting for about an hour, Yang Tian set off again. If he stayed in one place, others would catch up to him very quickly. Only by constantly moving would he be able to prevent his pursuers from figuring out his route. Sitsidi, after traveling for about 10 kilometers, the little blue dragon suddenly opened its eyes and cried out a few times. There's a rank 4 exotic beast. Yang Tian opened his eyes wide and said in surprise. That was because the little blue dragon had told him that there was a rank 4 exotic beast a few kilometers ahead. Yang Tian became excited. He stuck out his tongue and licked his dry lips. If he could kill this rank 4 exotic beast, he would be able to advance again and become a rank 4 warrior. Chapter 39. Yang Tian moved forward carefully. After walking for about 5 kilometers, he already felt the aura of a powerful exotic beast, even without the little blue dragon's reminder. More than 10 minutes later, Yang Tian finally saw a huge white snake. This huge snake was covered in snow-white scales. Its body was thicker than a water bucket, and it was at least 20 meters long. When Yang Tian saw this huge white snake, the huge snake also noticed Yang Tian. Snakes didn't have good vision, but they could sense their surroundings by flicking out their tongues. When they noticed Yang Tian and determined that Yang Tian's aura wasn't very strong, the huge coiled snake immediately slithered towards him. Without any foreplay, Yang Tian immediately engaged in battle with the giant white snake the moment he saw it. The huge snake was very fast, bringing with it a strong gust of wind as it moved. It arrived in front of Yang Tian in the blink of an eye, opening its mouth wide to cover Yang Tian. It looked like it wanted to swallow Yang Tian in one gulp. Yang Tian raised his head and saw that the huge snake's 2 fangs were actually black. He knew that this was a huge, poisonous python. A rank 4 python was a golden python, which meant that its entire body was golden yellow. However, this rank 4 python was white, so it should be a rare breed. This kind of rare exotic beast was usually more powerful than other exotic beasts of the same species and level. Facing the snake's head coming down on him, Yang Tian quickly rushed forward, waving the long blade in his hand and slashing at the huge python's body. Pong! Yang Tian's blade landed on the huge python's body, letting out a sound like a blunt knife hitting wood. The incomparably sharp Tang saber actually bounced off the python's body. At this moment, the huge python's bite also missed. A strong gust of wind sounded. The huge python swung its tail, sweeping it towards Yang Tian. Yang Tian jumped up and flipped his body in the air, dodging the huge python's tail and landing firmly on the ground. Bang! Seeing that it didn't hit Yang Tian, the giant python swung its tail again and slapped a big tree as thick as a person's waist. The big tree trembled and withered yellow leaves fell like dense snowflakes. This guy is so strong, Yang Tian exclaimed as he looked at the strength of the python's tail. At this time, the giant python quickly turned its head and bit towards Yang Tian again. Yang Tian's eyes narrowed slightly. In an instant, he caught sight of the giant python's neck. He discovered that the scales there were sparser than the rest of the body. Yang Tian quickly determined that this was the giant python's weakness. However, this fellow's movements were extremely fast. It would not be easy to slash his neck. Looking at the giant python's huge mouth, Yang Tian dodged again. Puffed! Before Yang Tian's body came to a stop, he saw a transparent liquid spurt out from the upper part of the python's mouth. Venom! Yang Tian was shocked. He exerted force in his legs and dodged to the side. Zizizi! The giant python's venom sprayed on the big tree. The bark emitted bursts of white smoke and made a sound like raw meat being burned. The giant python's venom was actually highly corrosive. This big guy actually had such means. Yang Tian was scared for a while. Fortunately, he saw the black poisonous fangs in the giant python's mouth and was always on guard. Otherwise, if the venom sprayed on his body, he would probably be finished. Squeak, squeak, squeak. At this time, the little blue dragon let out a cry and asked Yang Tian if he needed help. Yang Tian smiled and said, "No need. I can still deal with this big guy." After Yang Tian finished speaking, he jumped high. His legs kicked hard on a big tree. His body bounced diagonally and slashed at the giant python's neck. The sound of a blade entering flesh sounded. The Tang Dao in Yang Tian's hand. The tip of the blade cut across the giant python's neck, leaving a slender wound. When Yang Tian landed, the giant python's wound was already bleeding a lot. Yang Tian sneered. This big guy's weakness was really the neck. The injured giant python went berserk. It turned its head and opened its big mouth. A large amount of transparent liquid was sprayed from its mouth again. Yang Tian turned around and hid behind a big tree, avoiding the giant python's venom. Boom! Seeing Yang Tian hiding behind the big tree, the giant python swung its tail and swept the big tree. As for Yang Tian, he had already dodged when he heard the commotion. This big tree that was thicker than a bowl was actually broken by the giant python. If you don't count the level just based on strength, this giant python's attack power is probably close to the level 5 silverback bear that Yang Tian hunted before. Yang Tian quickly moved back and forth between the surrounding trees, causing the giant python to constantly move its body, making the python unable to lock onto him for a while. A few minutes later, Yang Tian finally found an opportunity to stop his body. The giant python could not wait to open its big mouth and sprayed venom at Yang Tian again. Yang Tian took advantage of this opportunity to flash behind a big tree next to him. Taking advantage of the gap between the giant python's venom, he jumped on the big tree, kicked on the trunk, and once again pounced on the giant python. This time, Yang Tian used an even greater amount of strength and focused his mind. The knife in Yang Tian's hand pierced the giant python's wound and came out from the other side. The giant python shook its huge head in pain. Yang Tian could not hold the knife in his hand, and his body was flung out. This should be a fatal blow. After Yang Tian landed, he rolled behind a big tree to hide. At this time, the giant python twisted its body in pain and shook its huge head. A large amount of blood flowed out from the wound on its neck. After about 2 hours, the white giant python finally stopped moving. Squeak, squeak. At this time, the little blue dragon that was lying on Yang Tian's shoulder cried out excitedly. Yang Tian let out a long breath, walked forward, and pulled the knife out of the giant python's neck. He raised the knife and slashed the giant python's head more than 10 times. Only then did he cut open the giant python's head and pick out a green beast core from inside. Looking at this level 4 beast core, Yang Tian smiled. He used his sleeve to wipe off the liquid on it and directly put it into his mouth. Taking advantage of the fact that the level 4 beast core's energy had not been absorbed by his digestive organs, Yang Tian held the knife and ran forward. Not long after, he found a big tree and climbed up, lying on its trunk. At this time, the little blue dragon opened its eyes wide and looked around vigilantly, keeping watch for Yang Tian. Swallowing many low-level beast cores was not even as good as eating a level 4 beast core. A huge amount of energy rose in his stomach. Yang Tian controlled this energy and gathered it in his chest, where it was absorbed by the Dragon Ball in his body. This situation lasted all the way until the next morning. During this process, Yang Tian's body also underwent obvious changes. When he woke up, Yang Tian felt that his strength was much stronger than usual. He estimated that he had reached the level of a level 4 martial artist. If he used the power of the Dragon Ball, he should be able to fight a level 5 martial artist to a draw. When he was fighting with the giant white python, Yang Tian did not use the power of the Dragon Ball. This was a request he had for himself. This way, he could force out the potential of his body as much as possible. Yang Tian completely agreed with Qin Jingyang's words. In less than a year, he had gone from an ordinary high school student to a level 4 martial artist. If he only trained in the dojo's training field, no matter what, it would be impossible for him to reach this level. Training in the dojo could achieve the amount of exercise, but he could not experience real combat. Only real combat could stimulate a person's potential. Lightning Blade, CSI. Jumping down from the tree, Yang Tian shouted softly and started practicing the lightning blade technique. The blade in his hand turned into a ray of white light. The few leaves that fell from the tree were cut into pieces by the flashing white light. During the process of practice, Yang Tian used the power of the Dragon Ball and realized that his speed had reached a new level. It was at least 2 times faster than before. If he used this power to kill the giant white python now, Yang Tian believed that it would only take a few slashes to kill the level 4 giant white python. After practicing a set of blade techniques, Yang Tian stabbed the blade to the side and started practicing the Thunder Crash fist. Pong! Yang Tian's punch landed on a large tree, and a fist imprint appeared on the sturdy tree trunk. Pong, pong, pong. Yang Tian did not stop. His fist continued to hit the tree trunk. Soon, a thick tree trunk was broken by him. With a crack, the trunk broke. Using such a powerful force to hit the tree, Yang Tian's fists were red and swollen. Chapter 40. Yang Tian also took the opportunity to practice the fist technique to vent out the frustration in his heart. Phew! After practicing the fist technique, Yang Tian let out a long breath as he looked at his red and swollen hands. He felt much better. 3 days later, Fengde, who was walking quickly in the forest, suddenly smelled the stench of blood. His nose twitched, and he quickly ran in the direction of the smell. 10 minutes later, Fengde finally found the place where the stench came from. When Fengde arrived, he saw a white python that only had its skin left. Fengde quickly saw that this python was hunted down by someone. Because the python's head was poisonous, the other ultra beasts did not eat this python's head, so its head was left intact. In the middle of the python's head, there was a huge cut. Seeing this, Fengde could not help but frown, because he could see that this python was a level 4 ultra beast. This kid's speed of advancement is so fast. By the time I find him, wouldn't he have already become a level 5 warrior? Fengde mumbled to himself. Zhou Dedeo had told Fengde that Yang Tian had a level 5 beast core. Now that Yang Tian had killed a level 4 mutated python, he should be able to become a level 4 martialist very soon. After a period of fighting against mutated beasts and consuming level 5 beast cores, he would become a level 4 martialist. When he thought of this, Fengde became anxious. But what made him feel relieved was that in this environment, even if Yang Tian quickly leveled up, he would not be able to obtain a combat skill that corresponded to his level. And only a brilliant combat skill could allow a warrior to unleash their strongest strength. But Fengde had forgotten that combat skills were also created by humans. Since others could create combat skills, why couldn't Yang Tian do it? Fengde looked at the surrounding forest and realized that he was getting closer and closer to Yang Tian. He felt that he would be able to find Yang Tian in 10 days. A martial artist's intuition was very frightening. The reason why Feng Almighty was able to approach Yang Tian so quickly was because of his intuition. Otherwise, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack to find a person in a forest that spanned hundreds of kilometers. It was impossible for him to find Yang Tian in such a short time. At this moment, Yang Tian was only 40 kilometers away from Fengde. In order to avoid the light rain that was about to arrive, Yang Tian found a withered tree and killed a black bear that had not even reached level 1. Using a dagger, he cut off the bear's meat and began to eat it raw. This was what Yang Tian realized after being tracked by Zhou Dedeo and the others for a while. The smoke rising from a fire in the woods could be easily seen by others during the day. There was no such problem at night, but Yang Tian couldn't wait until night because he was too hungry. Even if the human body was strengthened, it still needed nutrients. It wasn't something that could be replenished just by swallowing beast cores. The little blue dragon originally liked to eat barbecued meat. Now, it had no choice but to eat raw meat with Yang Tian. At first, Yang Tian was a little disgusted, but he got used to it. Now, there were no parasites in the bodies of these exotic beasts. It was very hygienic and was extremely nutritious when eaten raw. At the same time, its strong physical fitness also ensured that Yang Tian wouldn't get sick. It was already the end of October. Although this place was in a subtropical region, the temperature was very low at night. After eating the bear meat, Yang Tian let the little blue dragon patrol the surroundings until it was dark. After confirming that there were no traces of powerful exotic beasts or humans, he started a fire and dried the bear's skin. He took off his clothes and put on the bear's skin. The little blue dragon didn't mind that Yang Tian was dirty and snuggled into Yang Tian's embrace. The light rain that had stopped not long ago started again. Yang Tian extinguished the fire and snuggled into the tree hole. He closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. The night passed uneventfully. When Yang Tian woke up in the morning, he took off the bearskin and put on his clothes. He folded the bearskin and found a rattan to tie it up. He held the saber in one hand and the bearskin in the other as he continued forward. Yang Tian was now deep in the danger zone. He was only 100 kilometers away from the center. Yang Tian had heard before that there were many high-level exotic beasts above rank 7 living in the center of the danger zone. Even rank 7 and rank 8 martial artists didn't dare to enter rashly. As for rank 9 martial artists, every time a rank 9 martial artist appeared, one would go missing. It was said that they went to a mysterious place. So far, no rank 9 martial artist had appeared before the eyes of the world. This was a mysterious phenomenon. It was said that other than rank 9 martial artists, no one else knew about it. This kind of thing that was similar to a legend appeared in Yang Tian's mind for a moment and was thrown aside by Yang Tian. Yang Tian was now a rank 4 martial artist, but he didn't have any more powerful combat skills. The lightning saber technique and the collapsing thunder fist were both combat skills practiced by rank 2 martial artists. When he was rank 3, he could still use them. However, when he reached rank 4, Yang Tian suddenly realized that these two combat skills couldn't display his full combat strength at all. Yang Tian did not know how long he would have to stay in the danger zone, but he knew that many high-level martialists would rush over when they saw the martialist arrest order. They wanted to take his head and exchange it for the bounty. The reason why not many people had arrived yet was because most of them were still on their way. The reason why the people of Shunwei Martial Arts Hall came here in advance was that they had someone to guide them. This guide was Zhou Dedeo. Xiaolong, if it really doesn't work, I'll have to create a set of combat skills myself. Yang Tian said with some lack of confidence. This was because he understood that creating a set of combat skills wasn't a simple matter. It required a lot of practice and the calculation of scientific instruments. The person who created the combat skills needed to be very talented. Like many martial arts, it wasn't created by one person. The person at the beginning might just casually use a few moves and then pass it down. In the process, the later generations would continue to study these moves and constantly add or delete them. In the end, it would reach perfection. Squeak, squeak, squeak. At this time, the little blue dragon jumped down from Yang Tian's shoulder and landed on the ground. It constantly waved its claws. The little blue dragon waved its claws so fast that it formed afterimages. You want me to learn your claw technique? Yang Tian scratched his head and laughed. That's right. The little blue dragon told Yang Tian that he could learn to wave his claws. At this speed, he could break anything hard. Yang Tian couldn't learn this move because he didn't have such hard claws. When Yang Tian had nothing to do, he carefully studied the little blue dragon's claws and found that the little guy's claws were extremely sharp. Even if he used a knife made of YT elemental alloy to cut it a few times, it still wouldn't be able to cut it. At most, it would leave a shallow mark on it. In addition to the tip of the claws, the little blue dragon's entire claws were also covered with fine scales. Its defensive ability was extremely strong. It was estimated that even if an alloy knife were to cut its claws, it still wouldn't be able to cut them off. Although he couldn't learn the little blue dragon's secret art, Yang Tian also got some inspiration. Isn't there a saying? That is, speed is invincible. The lightning blade speed was also very fast. Unfortunately, this kind of blade technique had moves. When using these moves, Yang Tian couldn't display the fastest speed of the blade technique. What if he didn't use these moves? If he encountered an enemy, he would slash randomly. This definitely wouldn't work, because slashing randomly was actually a move. Moreover, it was a move that had many flaws and was constantly repeating. As Yang Tian walked, he thought about how to create his own unique set of combat skills. Moreover, this kind of combat skill had to be improved as he continued to improve, and its power would also continue to increase. Strength. Speed. The best way to display these two characteristics is to use weapons or the skill of a fist technique. Over the next few days, Yang Tian was constantly thinking, which naturally caused his speed of progress to slow down. On the fifth day, a person who wasn't very tall appeared in front of Yang Tian. Yang Tian was finally caught up by Feng to looking at the unprepossessing middle-aged man with short hair and a silver-white chain around his waist. Yang Tian frowned. Chapter 41. Yang Tian knew that this person was here to kill him. You Yang Tian? Fengde looked at Yang Tian and asked calmly. Yang Tian nodded. You're from Shunwei Dojo? Fengde nodded as well. Walala, Fengde used his hand to pull at his waist, and the silver chain around his waist fell apart and fell at his feet. He pulled a few circles with his right hand, and a circle of iron chain was wrapped around his arm. Yang Tian saw that there was a sharp knife that was more than a foot long hanging on the iron chain. Yang Tian realized that this person's weapon was very strange. Under normal circumstances, the weapons used by martial artists were knives, spears, and thorns. These were the three commonly used weapons. Because these weapons had more combat skills, there were more options for one to choose from. As for some rare weapons, such as the chain knife in the middle-aged man's hand, there were very few combat skills. Those who used rare weapons, many of them were self-created combat skills. When Yang Tian thought of this, his eyes lit up. Fengde looked at Yang Tian's expression and realized that there was no fear in this young man's eyes. Instead, they were burning with a strong desire to fight. My name is Fengde. Feng from Defeng. Defeng from Defeng. Fengde also said his name to Yang Tian. Then he said, telling you my name is so that you can die with a clear understanding. After Fengde finished speaking, he raised his right hand, and the iron chain on his arm made a strange GG sound, as if it was being tightened. Fengde was about to make his move. Although Yang Tian was curious whether Fengde was a self-created combat skill, this was not the time to ask, because he could feel that Fengde was a very straightforward person who did not like to talk nonsense. Pong! Suddenly, Fengde's feet stomped on the ground and pounced towards Yang Tian from more than 10 meters away. When his body jumped into the air, the chain knife on his arm made a woo sound and shot towards Yang Tian. Yang Tian did not know the length of Fengde's chain knife and dodged to the side. Pong! The chain blade carried a powerful force as it pierced through a large tree behind Yang Tian. Seeing that Yang Tian had dodged to the side, he pulled on the chain in his hand, and the chain in his hand instantly straightened. With a pong sound, the chain knife actually pulled the tree out of the tree. The sharp knife was like an agile snake. It turned in the air and attacked Yang Tian, who had dodged to the side. It stabbed towards Yang Tian's back with lightning speed. From the moment Fengde attacked with his saber to when Yang Tian dodged, it was only the blink of an eye. Hearing the wind behind him, Yang Tian was shocked and immediately prostrated himself on the ground. Fengde seemed to know how Yang Tian would dodge. His body was still in the air. With a slight shake of his arm, the sharp knife suddenly stopped in the air. With a pu sound, it stabbed into the ground near Yang Tian's neck, almost piercing into Yang Tian's neck. Yang Tian was shocked. He exerted strength in his waist and rolled to the side, dodging behind a large tree. Just as he dodged, the sharp knife that had sunk into the ground actually came out from the ground where Yang Tian had been prostrating himself. If Yang Tian had reacted a little slower, the chain knife would have pierced through his body. This was the first time Yang Tian had faced such a strange attack. The opponent's chain knife was even more agile than a living snake. It was as if it had grown eyes. At this time, Fengde landed on the ground. Woo! Seeing Yang Tian hiding behind the large tree, Fengde was expressionless. He shook the chain again, and the chain instantly straightened and shot towards the tree that Yang Tian was hiding behind. Yang Tian was not going to sit there and wait for death. He clenched the Tang saber in his hand. When Fengde's chain knife pierced through the tree, his body flashed and went around the tree, heading straight for Fengde. Any battle technique had a weakness. According to Yang Tian's judgment, Fengde's chain knife was a long-range weapon. It should not be good at close combat. Soon, Yang Tian knew that he was wrong. Seeing Yang Tian rushing towards him, Fengde was still expressionless. There was no surprise in his eyes. He was so calm that it was terrifying. Pong! When Yang Tian was rushing towards Feng De pulled the chain knife in his hand. The chain knife once again broke through the tree and flew back. It made a turn in the air and shot towards Yang Tian's back. Yang Tian slashed at the taut chain. Pa! Yang Tian thought that he could cut the chain, but he did not expect the chain to suddenly become soft. It was like a soft string. When Yang Tian's Tang saber came in contact with the chain, it only made a light sound. But this time, Feng Da's attack was neutralized. The sharp knife on the chain suddenly lost its support and stabbed into the ground, drilling into the ground. At this time, Yang Tian was already close to Feng De. He slashed at Feng De. Feng De calmly took 2 steps back and calmly dodged Yang Tian's attack. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he shook the chain. Yang Tian was greatly alarmed as he felt the ground beneath his feet trembling. He leaped into the air with both legs. Almost at the same time, a sharp knife broke through the ground and rushed towards Yang Tian, who was in the air. Clang! When Yang Tian saw the sharp blade coming at him, he swung his blade downwards, hitting the sharp blade and sending it flying. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yang Tian twisted his waist and quickly flipped in the air. He landed on the ground and then dodged to the side. Lightning knife! Yang Tian knew that when facing such an expert, if he did not use the power of the Dragon Balls, he would only be suppressed. With a light shout, the knife in his hand turned into a ray of light. His body flashed and rushed towards Feng, seeing that Yang Tian's speed had increased a lot and that he could not see the trajectory of a knife in his hand. Feng Da's face suddenly became serious. He suddenly realized that Yang Tian did not use his full strength. He kept dodging as if he was testing him. Feng De shook his wrist and retrieved his chain knife. A silver chain once again wrapped around his hand. Clang! Facing Yang Tian's attack, Feng De shook the chain and the sharp knife met with Yang Tian's attack. The sound of metal clashing could be heard. What Feng De did not expect was that after the sharp knife on his chain was sent flying, Yang Tian's knife did not slow down and fell towards his chest. He was shocked and quickly took a step back. The tip of Yang Tian's knife cut through his leather armor and made a hole in it. After this attack, Yang Tian's knife suddenly turned around. It changed from a slashing motion to a horizontal cut. Feng Da's waist twisted and his whole body started to spin. The chain knife in his hand also started to spin. The sharp knife on the chain, in the process of spinning, shot towards Yang Tian's chest like lightning. Yang Tian did not expect that Feng De would have such a move. His body leaned back and the sharp knife brushed past his nose. At this moment, Feng De pulled back the chain. The sharp knife suddenly swung and changed direction, stabbing towards Yang Tian's neck. After using the power of the Dragon Ball, Yang Tian's speed increased a bit. In this short period of time, he tilted his head and raised his hand to grab the chain at the end of the sharp knife. At the same time, a strong gust of wind blew. Yang Tian felt a huge force coming from the chain, trying to shake his hand away. Yang Tian did not let go. Feng De did not shake Yang Tian's hand away. Feng De pulled the chain. Yang Tian took advantage of this opportunity to swing his knife. Borrowing the force, he rushed towards Feng De at an even faster speed. Feng De frowned. This was the first time something like this happened when facing a lower-level warrior. He realized that Yang Tian's strength was much stronger than he expected. The biggest weakness of the chain knife he used was that it could be grabbed by the enemy. Moreover, the opponent's strength was not inferior to his. Facing Yang Tian, who was rushing over, Feng De simply abandoned the chain knife. He pulled out a short knife from his waist and waved it towards Yang Tian. Clang, 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 clang. The sound of weapons colliding continuously rang out. The short knife used by Feng De was also made of whitey elemental alloy. The texture was the same as Yang Tian's Tang Dao. When the two knives collided, sparks constantly flew. The speed and strength of the two were equally matched. Their figures were entangled. Yang Tian did not expect that Feng De could use the short knife to perfection other than the chain knife. When fighting with his longer Tang Dao, he was not at a disadvantage at all. However, Yang Tian had an advantage. That was the Dragon Ball providing him with endless support. As for a warrior like Fonda, he used internal strength. The weakness of internal strength was that it could not be sustained for a long time. There was at least a moment of pause in the middle. Chapter 42. Yang Tian knew his advantage. Naturally, he would not give Big Feng the chance to stop. Even if he suffered some minor injuries, he would exhaust Big Feng. Both of their attention was highly concentrated. It had become an instinct. When they saw the other's sword coming, they would instinctively attack and block the other's sword. Then they would change their moves to attack the other. Under such circumstances, no one knew who would fall in the end and who would be the final victor. Big Feng's combat experience was obviously richer than Yang Tian's. After exchanging blows, he had already seen some of Yang Tian's weaknesses. That was that Yang Tian's swordsmanship could not fully unleash its full speed. When Yang Tian changed his moves, there would be a short pause in his speed. Taking advantage of the moment when Yang Tian changed his moves, Big Feng's short sword slashed across Yang Tian's chest. Blood suddenly flowed out from Yang Tian's chest, soaking Yang Tian's clothes. But what surprised Big Feng was that after Yang Tian was slashed by him, he did not take the opportunity to retreat. Instead, he continued to attack with his sword. He had to face Yang Tian's fierce attacks again. This guy, is he a robot? After fighting for half an hour, Big Feng thought to himself in shock. Because it had been going on for such a long time, and because of the high intensity of the battle, Yang Tian's movements were still as smooth and powerful as before. As for himself, he was gradually feeling exhausted. During this process, Big Feng had left many wounds on Yang Tian's body. Chest, legs, back, shoulders. Yang Tian had been slashed at least a dozen times. But these wounds were not fatal. At most, they made Yang Tian lose some blood. During this process, there were several times when Big Feng wanted to withdraw and take a breather before continuing the battle. But Yang Tian had to pay the price of being injured to keep him entangled. Dang, dang, dang. The sound of weapons colliding had been ringing for almost an hour. At this time, Yang Tian was still as fierce as usual. Big Feng could only deal with the strong attacks. Finally, Yang Tian's saber slashed Big Feng's chest, sending him flying. Feng no longer had the strength to continue fighting. The reason he was hit by Yang Tian was because he was extremely tired and couldn't keep up with his movements. Borrowing this force, he kicked his legs and quickly retreated. He hoped that this time, Yang Tian would let him off for a moment and let him catch his breath. But very quickly, Feng felt despair because Yang Tian once again rushed towards him. His eyes were still so focused, and there wasn't a trace of fatigue on his face. Big Feng knew that his strength and speed were actually higher than Yang Tian's. The reason why he was defeated was because Yang Tian had completely exhausted his physical strength. In Big Feng's eyes, Yang Tian had now become a monster. He had never seen a warrior who could actually sustain such a high-intensity battle for such a long time. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, whether it was strength or speed, they had almost not changed. Bang! His back hit a big tree because of the strong wind. Next, Yang Tian's saber slashed towards Big Feng's neck. Facing such a sharp saber, Big Feng felt a deep sense of powerlessness. However, he still wouldn't give up on dodging. He shrunk his body, trying to dodge Yang Tian's saber. However, Yang Tian had already seen through Big Feng's movement. The saber in his hand suddenly changed direction and landed on Big Feng's shoulder. The saber edge was close to Big Feng's neck. As long as Yang Tian moved his saber slightly, Big Feng's head would be separated from his body. Big Feng's body suddenly became stiff. His eyes flashed with a trace of fear, but very quickly, his expression became indifferent. As an ancient martial art practitioner, killing and being killed was a very normal thing. The battle that had lasted for more than an hour had finally come to an end. Although it had been an intense battle, Yang Tian's hand was still very stable. The hand that was holding the saber didn't even tremble. This made Big Feng feel even more despair when he noticed it. As a strong warrior, Although he was also afraid of death, Big Feng didn't beg for mercy from Yang Tian. He only looked at Yang Tian expressionlessly, waiting for his death. As for Yang Tian, he looked at Big Feng coldly. It wasn't easy to win this one Zhang. There were a few times when he almost died in the hands of Big Feng. Ever since he left the city, this was the first time Yang Tian had encountered such a dangerous battle. However, he knew that such battles would only increase in the days to come. You lost. After a long time, Yang Tian said indifferently. Big Feng stared at Yang Tian's eyes and said indifferently, "You won. I don't want to kill you." Yang Tian said again. Yang Tian felt that it wasn't easy for Big Feng to grow to such a level. Especially that chained saber. It was simply incomparably strange. Big Feng didn't know how much he had practiced to be able to reach such a superb level. "Why don't you kill me? You have to know that if you let me go, I'll still chase after you." Big Feng laughed and said. Yang Tian said, "I don't want to kill you. I don't know the reason either. I'm not afraid of your pursuit. I won against you once, so I can win against you a second time, a third time, and every time you fight with me, you'll find that I'm even more powerful than before." When Yang Tian said this, he laughed confidently. Big Feng also laughed and said, "You brat. If you don't die this time, your future is limitless. But you have to remember, sometimes letting an enemy go is giving up your life." After Big Feng finished speaking, he tilted his head and hit Yang Tian's saber. The saber completely sank into Big Feng's neck. A large amount of blood flowed out from Big Feng's neck. Big Feng laughed and said, "Yang Tian killed down." After Big Feng finished speaking, he tilted his head and slowly closed his eyes. Yang Tian withdrew his saber, looked at Big Feng's corpse, and sighed helplessly. This was an opponent worthy of respect. Yang Tian didn't want to let the strange beast devour his corpse. He took off the auxiliary device on Big Feng's wrist and pressed a small red button on it. The auxiliary device sent out a strong emergency signal. He believed that it wouldn't be long before the people of Shunwei Martial Hall arrived. Big Feng's backpack was placed beside a big tree not far away. Yang Tian walked forward, opened the zipper of the backpack, and rummaged through it. He actually found 3 level 1 beast cores, 2 level 2 beast cores, a lot of jungle survival equipment and medicine, and 2 sets of clean clothes. In addition to these, Yang Tian also found the martial artist auxiliary device that he discarded. Yang Tian estimated that this martial artist auxiliary device must have been found by Zhou Dedeo and his team. When Big Feng arrived, he gave it to Big Feng. He thought about it and didn't throw away his martial artist auxiliary device again. Instead, he wore it on his wrist. Squeak, squeak, squeak. At this time, the little blue dragon, who had been watching the battle, ran over and made a series of sounds. It was praising Yang Tian. Yang Tian smiled and said to the little blue dragon, "Xiaolong, I'll leave first. Look after this person's corpse first. Don't let him be eaten by strange beasts. When his companions arrive, you leave, understand?" The little blue dragon agreed. Big Feng was a high-level martial artist in Shunwei Martial Arts Hall. Yang Tian believed that the people of Shunwei Martial Arts Hall would definitely bring his corpse back. Carrying Big Feng's backpack, Yang Tian carried his saber and left quickly. After rushing in the jungle for half an hour, the little blue dragon finally caught up with Yang Tian and jumped on Yang Tian's shoulder. It told Yang Tian that those people had arrived. Yang Tian nodded and didn't say anything. He continued to walk forward. Big Feng was actually killed. A martial artist of Shunwei Martial Arts Hall muttered after seeing Big Feng's corpse. His face was full of horror. Zhou Dedeo frowned and looked at the wound on Big Feng's neck. He said, "Big Feng was defeated. He bumped into Yang Tian's saber and died. I really didn't expect Yang Tian to have grown to this extent. Yang Tian is so powerful. What should we do?" A martial artist was a little scared and asked Zhou Dedeo. Zhou Dedeo thought for a moment and said, "We can only wait first. Let's report this matter to the higher-ups and see how they deal with it." Another level 4 martial artist said, "That's the only thing we can do for now. We can't split up for a period of time in case Yang Tian defeats us one by one." Now that Elder Feng is dead, our dojo will probably send out more powerful seniors. Chapter 43. Zhou Dao had sent the news back to the headquarters of the Shunwei Martial Arts Hall. Du Xiongwu soon found out about Big Feng's death. Big Feng was a well-known martial arts fanatic in the Shunwei Martial Arts Hall. He was also Du Xiongwu's most loyal subordinate, which was equivalent to Du Xiongwu's right-hand man. Big Feng's death saddened Du Xiongwu more than the death of his son. Kill Yang Tian at all costs. Increase the bounty on the martialists wanted warrant tenfold, no 20-fold. I don't believe that those martialists won't be tempted. Du Xiongwu gritted his teeth as he listened to his subordinate's report. If it weren't for the fact that he was the hall master of the Shunwei Martial Arts Hall and a level 8 martialist, Du Xiongwu would have personally gone to kill Yang Tian. Hall master, if you increase the bounty by 20-fold, that would be 2 billion martial coins. Isn't that too much? Du Xiongwu's subordinate exclaimed in surprise. 2 billion martial coins was the price of a level 6 beast core. Normally, a martialist bounty would be calculated based on a martialist level. Du Xiongwu had offered the same price as a level 6 beast core, which meant that he had treated Yang Tian as a level 6 martialist. The martialist wanted warrant wasn't only available in Tianxiong City. Martialists from other cities could also accept this mission. Many LV5 and above warriors would not even bat an eye at the price of 1 or 200 million martial coins. This price was of little value to them. As for warriors at LV4 and below, they knew their limits and did not want to take the risk in the center of the danger zone. According to the news from the Tianwei Martial Arts Hall, Yang Tian's strength had surpassed that of a level 4 martialist. Under these circumstances, other than a small number of martialists who wanted to try their luck, the majority of martialists would just do what they were supposed to do. They wouldn't have much of a reaction to the martialist wanted warrant. However, things were different now. 2 billion martial coins was extremely attractive even to a LV6 martial artist. The martialists in Tianxiong City were all excited when they saw the arrest warrant on their auxiliary devices. In just 3 days, more than 200 martialists had left the city, and this was not including the number of martialists outside the city. Among these warriors, most of them were warriors of level 4 and above. Through the price of the arrest warrant, everyone understood that Yang Tian was not that easy to kill. Level 4 martial artists could still form a team, but if it was a level 3 or below martial artist, then forget it. If they went and met Yang Tian, they would probably be sent to their deaths. In addition to the martial artists from Sky Mighty City, the martial artists from the nearby safe zones, such as Guiyang City, Jade Peak City, Qingfeng City, and several other large cities, also set off for the coordinates given by Shunwei Martial Arts Hall. Because Yang Tian had risen too quickly, almost all the warriors did not know what Yang Tian looked like. However, Yang Tian's picture was attached to the arrest warrant. This was Yang Tian's high school graduation picture. Yang Tian looked so young and inexperienced in it. However, this young and inexperienced man had actually killed Big Feng. Big Feng wasn't just famous in Sky Mighty City. He was also very famous in the other nearby cities. For the sake of the prosperity of the martialists, every 5 years, the world would hold a martial arts conference and a huge competition. Any martialist below the age of 35 could participate. The top 1,000 martialists would receive a considerable amount of prize money. In the last martial arts conference, Grandmaster Feng's strange chain saber had left a deep impression on everyone. Grandmaster Feng was ranked in the 800s, and among the younger generation of martial artists in the world, he was considered an amazing figure. However, such an impressive person had actually been killed by Yang Tian. Nobody dared to underestimate Yang Tian. When a martialist arrest warrant's new reward was announced, it formed a powerful force that made Yang Tian feel suffocated. The reason Yang Tian had received this news was because he had turned on his martialist assistance device. The martialist assistance device had a positioning function because it was connected to the internet. Yang Tian had kept it, intending to use it to attract the martialists who came to kill him and lure them to other places. He hadn't expected to see this kind of news when he turned on his device. This arrest warrant made Yang Tian feel an immense pressure, yet also made him inexplicably excited. This was basically making an enemy out of the entire world. A real man should be like this. Boss, why are we leaving the city? Are we going to kill old Eighth too? Xiao Fei's small team had also gathered and set off after receiving the arrest warrant. After leaving the city and parking the car about 100 kilometers away, Zhao Wu laughed. Hearing Zhao Wu's words, the whole team burst into laughter. Of course, they weren't going to kill Yang Tian this time. Instead, they were going to deliver something to Yang Tian. They knew that Yang Tian had been hunted down during this period of time and had been having a hard time. After discussing it together, they came up with this idea. When the time came, as long as they encountered Yang Tian, they would leave the things behind and leave. I didn't expect old Eighth to be so powerful. He actually killed Shunwei Martial Arts Hall's Dephone. His growth is too fast. Wang Guang sighed as they walked. Zhao Wu laughed proudly. During the Beast Tide, I saw old Eighth rushing into the Beast Tide first and noticed that he was extraordinary. Old Zhao, don't have any other skills, but I've never misjudged people. You're bragging. Zhou Feng glanced at Zhao Wu and curled her lips. The team of 7 chatted and laughed as they moved deeper into the danger zone. The martial artist wanted order was released to the whole world. Of course, the martial artists in Hero City in Europe had also received this news. The university Qin Fei studied at was called Bolia University. It was an aristocratic school. Most of the young people studying here were the relatives of martial artists. There were even a few students who were powerful martial artists. Qin Fei, your boyfriend is wanted by the whole world. You made a big fuss. After a biology class, Qin Fei had just walked into the library when a blonde beauty walked over and said to her with a smile. When Qin Fei heard this, she pulled the blonde beauty and asked, "Nuala, is this true?" The blonde beauty called Nuala raised her hand and pointed at her martial artist-assisted device. She said, "Look, this is the wanted order issued by Shunwei Martial Arts Hall in Tianxiong City. There's a photo of your boyfriend on it. Look, it's the same person as the picture on your phone." Qin Fei took a closer look. The photo was indeed Yang Tian. Nuala, I have to go back to the dormitory immediately. I have to call Grandpa. After Qin Fei finished speaking, she turned around and left quickly with her books. After returning to her single dormitory, Qin Fei dialed her grandfather's phone number. Xiao Fei, how are you doing in university? After the call was connected, Qin Jingyang's loud voice came from Qin Fei's phone. Qin Fei didn't have time to greet her grandfather. She said directly, "Grandpa, why is Yang Tian wanted? Didn't you say that he's fine now?" Qin Jingyang laughed. "Don't worry, Yang Tian will be fine. He's made such a big fuss that even Grandpa has a whole new level of respect for him." "Grandpa, you're still saying this at a time like this?" "No, I have to come back. I have to find Yang Tian." Qin Fei was very anxious when she thought that Yang Tian was in danger. Qin Jingyang was still smiling. "If you come back, won't you be causing trouble for Yang Tian? Listen to Grandpa and stay in school. Wait for Yang Tian's good news." Qin Jingyang said a lot of reasons to Qin Fei and finally made his granddaughter feel more at ease. After ending the call, Qin Fei's face was full of worry. Right at this moment, the doorbell rang. It was the blonde beauty. Nuala. Qin Fei opened the door. "Nuala, why are you here?" Nuala entered Qin Fei's room and said to Qin Fei, "There's one more thing to tell you. After Mark got the news, he left school. He said that he's going to find your boyfriend to compete." "How can this be? Mark is our good friend. How can he do such a thing?" Qin Fei was very surprised. Nuala laughed. "Mark likes you, but you like Yang Tian. Therefore, he wants to defeat Yang Tian to prove that he's stronger than Yang Tian so that he can win your heart. This is a habit of us Westerners." After Nuala finished speaking, Qin Fei was even more worried. Seeing the expression on Qin Fei's face, Nuala laughed. "You don't have to worry. Although Mark is a level 6 martial artist, he won't kill Yang Tian." But Qin Fei shook her head and said, What I'm worried about is what if Yang Tian kills Mark? Nuala couldn't help laughing. Qin Fei, don't worry. This won't happen. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.